Codisa has been a lifeline for people with disabilities.
Actually, the first time we met, I can't remember the exact month now, but it was sometime in 1973 or 74, thereabout, yes. My cousin's wife, Dr. Mrs. Liva Osagi, invited me to this meeting. Then we were all living in East Louth, the residential area of doctor's residential area of Louth. And then met at Dr. Mrs. Roberts' flat. We had a larger group. The meeting was called for a larger group. This time, other people were invited. Professor Odia was chosen as the leader of the group, and that's how Codisa started.
Back then, the founders were still, most of the founding members were still very present. I used to attend meetings with late Professor Odia, late Mr. Akintunji, and they kind of created the foundation of what we are currently, riding on and building on top of. So they own that legacy. And it is our job now to take it to the next level.
When I first had Oreolua with spinal bifida and hydrocephalus, I thought the world was going to end. I found it so difficult to take care of her because I used all my money for the hospital bill, for medications, for so many things. I was in the hospital for like a year after giving birth to her. It was really serious. Then afterwards, I had nothing on me. So at this point, I met Mr. Fajemelo. Then he introduced me to the Codisa Foundation. So I just got a phone call and she said, "How can we help you?" I was in tears. I couldn't believe anybody could come to me and ask me that question. Like, how can you help me? You don't even know me from nowhere. And they helped us. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. Codisa, you are the best. You are awesome. This is Oreolua right here. She's saying thank you from the bottom of her heart. Even though she can't talk, but she can feel the love and care. Thank you, Codisa. God bless you.
Bridging that gap, Codisa did something that endeared my heart. They sent representative to us without informing us. I remember 2 men, they came to us, they came in about 10 and they stayed up till almost the time we were closing, all through. They watched us work with the children, how we change diapers, how we do therapies for them, how we played with them, feeding and everything. So they saw the need, the need for the manpower, not just the material things you give. And I remember one of the men, on his own, he said, Codisa back then, we are not giving money to organizations. They come and they tell them what you need and they will do that for you. But he saw the need that it wasn't just a material thing. So on his own, from his pockets, he gave us some money, a lot of money back then. And then he said they made their reports. So when they did their media reports, Codisa came for the first time, according to them, in their 20-something years of existence. They didn't just give us material things, they brought money to us. So I felt they didn't just hear us, but they understood our challenge and rose to helping us to solve that.
Codisa stepped in, providing vocational training, advocating, providing assistive devices, food, classrooms, and other infrastructure. Codisa did not see limitations, but potential.
Assistant of the University of Lagos, food and feeding and money for pocket money for upkeep was a problem for us. But with Bethesda and Codisa, that problem was solved. As the popular saying, a hungry man is an angry man. So when I had food, I began to thrive in my academics, and I came out well with a second-class upper thanks to Bethesda and Codisa. So these are some of the challenges that we had and overcame with also the help of Bethesda and Codisa.
The need for the NGO. Now, when I got into Codisa, of course, the scope was not as large as it is today. And I guess, past leaders had muted the idea for transiting Codisa, into an NGO. And my main focus when I became the leader of Codisa, my primary objective was to see that that transition happened, which I championed, and we became an NGO. And the reason for us becoming an NGO really is to expand our funding options, because in the past, I think we were supporting about between 15 and 20 homes and institutions in Lagos State. And when I became leader, the activities of Codisa had grown, the scope had expanded, more people had come to know about Codisa, and basically for the integrity that was associated with Codisa. Again, at this point, I cannot fail to mention Mr. Kayode Shoyombo, who was very instrumental to building that integrity for Codisa. People donated towards the cause of Codisa. But I realized that donor fatigue will eventually set in, and more so as our intervention was expanding. We now have about 40 to 50 something homes and institutions that we support. And, for that to happen, we needed to go out of, people's well-spirited and kind-hearted Nigerians who have donated to us in the past 40 years or so. So we needed to expand the funding options and become an NGO. And now we can also get donations from corporate organizations, from, still individuals, we call them honorary members of Codisa. So essentially, the NGO was basically to expand our funding options so that we can do more. As more homes and more institutions begin to join us, we can do more. And of course, the vision is to even expand our intervention and advocacy to cover the whole of the country, that's Nigeria.
As an NGO, Codisa can expand the current scope, reach more people, advocate more effectively, and secure more funding. Imagine a future where the strength of the human spirit shines brightest in the face of perceived difference.
For a month, mo wà lẹ́nu emergency. So after a month yẹn, làwọn church mi ẹ̀ wá rí mi, àwọn náà sanwó surgery. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run fún oore tó ṣe fún mi, fún ọ̀nà tó gbé gbà fún mi. Ẹsẹ̀ yìí, ìgbà tí mo tún kúrò lọ́sibítù, mo ń lo kíran tó máa ń pè ọ̀pá tó máa fi ń rìn, ọ̀pá méjì mo fi ń rìn. So later, mo wá wá sí church, mo wá sí torí ọmọ ìjọ ní mi, mo wá sí church. Later ọ̀nà wá àwọn kíran tó máa ń pè àwọn Codisa náà ṣáà wá ọ̀nà wọ́n bá mi ṣe ẹsẹ̀ tí mo fi ń rìn. Mo dẹ̀ ń lọ káàkiri, mo ti ń lọ, mo rìn lọ sí Ìtìrẹ̀, mo rìn lọ sí Mushin without anything. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn Codisa gangan wá pa.
My name is Adebayo Oluwabunmi. I'm from Ondo State. My father is a retired engineer, and my mom has been sick for long, since August 2020. So I have no one to cater for me. I'm a student of the University of Lagos. I study English, Faculty of Arts. I'm supposed to be a graduate right now. Just because of this ailment, I'm unable to finish, and I'm unable to graduate. And my aspiration that I want to be a presenter. And being a presenter, you can't walk, I can't stand for long. I won't even be able to get a job.
I remember Said, 2-year-old boy, he had a hole in his heart, and Codisa took that upon themselves to finance his medical operation. And we started raising money to get the operation over the line. And eventually we did, praise the Lord. But sadly, it took a while. And by the time Said was having the operation, it was kind of late. And then, Said died, and that's really so sad. Yeah, quite sad. If we had the funds, we could have intervened earlier, and maybe Said would still be alive today. I think that the only good thing that came out of that was that we set up a fund for his siblings so that we could, finance their education with whatever was left from Said's medical bills. We also have stories of Even if you've heard from Bumi, Unilag student, part 3, and then she has the disease that blood stops flowing to her leg, and all of a sudden she's crippled and she needs money to be able to walk again. And we have so many of those cases that Codisa can help intervene in and really, just touch those lives directly and give them a second chance.
But this vision requires resources. The transition to an NGO and the expansion of our work needs your support. Your contribution will go directly towards specific needs.
I want to thank Codisa for their support. Since I met Codisa, they've helped me and they've supported me. So right now, I need more hands. I need other people to join hands to support me too.
But it is time for us to possibly, galvanize and put our efforts together so the impact can be better. This is my, honest opinion. And that's because from my interacting with religious institutions, I've realized that we are all working in our different ways, but the momentum is not huge. And though we do not need to publicize it for the general public, because our mandate is really what God has called us to do.
The Market of the Needy is one of the several initiatives of Codisa aimed at addressing the personal needs of people within this community. As the name implies, it's a market, and people are supposed to come and purchase, nicely used clothes. Sometimes they even get brand new clothes, household items, and they purchase them at significantly reduced prices.
So I think it's a very laudable project and a way of also reaching out to the community, because it's not just people from the church that are welcome here. Everybody is welcome. So well done, Codisa, and God bless you.
I've been a member of this market for so many years, and I've benefited a lot. In fact, formerly, I didn't have enough rich money to buy all these goods clothes from market direct. But when I got involved in this market, I've been having a lot of things in my wardrobe, and I did nothing from it. I didn't even share it with those who live.
We've been here almost 20 years. That is dash us. People that come from far place, that they buy this material, it's no cost, that they help us. That is dash us gari, rice, and some gin, that they dash us for here. Thank you very much. God bless this place. So then we will be Hausa, we'll be Muslim, but we join them, the same place with the state. So we, that they sell this clothes for us, it's no cost.
So I'm using this medium to say thank you to Codisa for all her love and support, and her assisting someone like me to go through school and graduate, currently doing NYC, and it's to the glory of God through the help of Bethesda and Codisa. So I'm so much excited, and I wish that Codisa continues to do this for all persons living with disabilities as they've been doing, and also still assist us in securing gainful employment.
That we will buy 5 bundles and buying pumping machine per boko to date. And another one again is to make sure that they are coming again to renovate our guest house. But you know better, they are with us. So all these things, they are surprises in anything, anyhow. So nothing to compare with Codisa.
My name is Reverend Dr. Shoma Hape. I'm the founder of Bethesda School/Home for the Blind. I want to use the opportunity to thank Codisa for their support since 2014. Codisa has been there for us, and they have sponsored a lot of students from different federal universities, which some of them even come out first class in law and different faculty. to add. I don't think we can tell our Bethesda story without mentioning Codisa. All my prayer for Codisa and the church Healing Cross, to God bless them, and they grant all of them their heart desires, and we wish them having at last.
By giving to Codisa, you're tapping into God's blessings. And if you want to give, I believe the account details are available. You can also, I also believe that by attending this event, you're becoming a Codisa partner. We're able to reach out to you. You can contribute towards our projects, and we'll carry along as we're, touching lives and impacting lives and doing all these amazing things. And we'll be very, very happy to have you, part of us as a Codisa partner. Thank you, and God bless.
To someone who is considering supporting Codisa's work, I will say you are backing the right horse.
Join the movement. Don't be left behind. Be a part of the Codisa story. Your gift, big or small, can change lives.
Good morning.
Codisa, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Right, the energy is very low. Good morning, everyone. Right, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, the executives, and volunteers of Codisa Foundation, I would like to welcome us all to the 12th Codisa workshop. We've been doing this for 12 years. Please give us a round of applause. It's not easy to be putting together a workshop for 12 years. Right, I'm going to try to speak very slowly so that we can allow the hearing impaired in our midst to be able to follow everything that is going on here. So also for the speakers too, we need to just take it very slowly so that they can also understand fully. My name is Titilola Sonny, and I volunteer with Codisa Foundation. And standing with me here is Wane Wanu. She's also a volunteer with Codisa Foundation, and will be walking you through this workshop today. There's a lot that we have for you today, and I know that you will not leave here the same. There's a lot that you will learn from our 12th workshop today, with the theme Unlocking New Possibilities for Persons with Disabilities Through Assistive Technology. Before we start, I'm going to invite our Chief Resident Minister, in the person of Venerable Olusegun Onofeso, to give us the opening prayer. Please let's put our hands together as he comes forward to give us the opening prayer.
Thank you. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing forth Codisa and enabling them in their assignment over these decades. We live in an imperfect world, and we thank you for those that you have raised to ameliorate the impact of imperfections here and there. We thank you, Father, for the creative way you've enabled ability gaps to be bridged and fellowship to be enhanced better. We are talking more in line with all this today. Guide our thoughts, send information, send understanding, and let there be encouragement and hope for a great future for everyone. We come against despondency. We come against any form of depression. We come against any feeling of inferiority. That you will mobilize your children to realize that with you, nothing is impossible. Thank you, Father, for answering our prayers. In Jesus' mighty name, we have prayed. Amen.
Thank you very much, sir. That's our Chief Resident Minister, the Chief Resident Minister of the venue we're using here, the Chapel of the Healing Cross, Idiabra, Lagos. So we're going to be applauding in two ways, right? We'll clap our hands the way we know how to clap our hands so that the visually impaired can hear us clapping. And then we'll also wiggle our hands, put our hands up and wiggle them in the air so that those who are hearing impaired can know that we are also applauding. So we need to make sure that we're doing both this morning, okay? So when we say, oh, applaud, we'll first clap the way we know how to clap, and then immediately after, we put our hands up and wiggle our hands in the air so that the hearing impaired can know that we're applauding. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Wanne, and she's going to introduce our speakers, inviting them to the high table this morning.
Good morning once again. I hope that we are excited to be at the 12th workshop of Codisa. It promises to be engaging, insightful, inspiring, just as the other 11 workshops have been. I'd like to invite to the high table our speakers for the day. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome Barrister Babatunde Safiu to the high table. Please keep clapping until he's seated. Please, let's welcome Miss Ugochi Agoreyo to the high table. Thank you. Please keep clapping. We'll be introducing them just before they give their speech, but I just want them to come forward now. And then we also would like to invite Evangelist Sule Akinremi to the high table. You're welcome, sir. And we have Mr. Okpeolu Akinola. Please put your hands together. When he comes, he'll join at the high table. At this point, I would like to invite the leader of Codisa, Prince Olaoluwa Awojodu, to give his welcoming address. Please, let's put our hands together for the leader of Codisa Foundation.
Thank you. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to welcome you to the 12th annual Codisa workshop. Thank you for taking time out from your rest schedule, from your Owambe schedules, to be here today to attend this event. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our Chief Resident Minister, Venerable Olusegun Onofeso. Thank you, sir. As well as Mrs. Adenike Onofeso. I saw earlier. All right. Thank you very much, ma. Also, our Board of Trustee members, represented by Mr. Kolade Abimbola, and our immediate past chairman, Mr. Ladi Shole, Thank you, sir. And of course, all our speakers, thank you for being here this morning. And of course, finally, all of us special guests that are here today. So thank you very much for being here. For the last 11 years, the Codisa workshop has been a medium that has continued to inform and educate attendees about different aspects of disabilities and management of disabilities. It is also befitting in 2025 with the mass adoption of technology tools like artificial intelligence that our topic for this year is unlocking the possibilities for persons with disabilities through assistive technology. Today we have amazing speakers from Access Tech Innovation and Research Center, from Google, from LaSoda, and from the Christian Mission for the Deaf Church. I believe we all have notepads and pens to take notes, and we'll be able to answer questions at the end of the session. I know this workshop will not just be a learning session, but an actual start to the empowerment journey that would enable people with disabilities live rewarding and fulfilling lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prince Olaoluwa Abujodu. We now have with us Mr. Okweolu Akiola. Please come join the other speakers on the high table. Please put your hands together for him. I'd also like to invite a member of the Board of Trustees to the high table, Mr. Kolade Abimbola. Please come join us come join the speakers on the high table. Please put your hands together for him as he comes forward. We're now going to go into the presentations for this morning. We have the first, which is the first topic we're going to be listening to this morning is the overview of Nigeria's law and policies on assistive technology for persons with disabilities. And the speaker who's going to be taking us through that topic is Barrister Babatunde Safiu. I'm going to read his profile, and then... Okay, we're going to have the profile on the screen.
Safiu is the Assistant Director, State Counsel with the Lagos State Ministry of Justice. He holds an LLB from the University of Jos, a BL from the Nigerian Law School, and an LLM from the University of Lagos. He serves as the Head of Legal Services at the Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs, while actively contributing to professional and disability rights associations.
Please, let's put our hands together once again for Mr. Babatunde as he takes us on the topic unlocking new possibilities for persons with disabilities through assistive technology. Sorry, that's our team.
Yeah, good morning. I'm here to present the overview of the legal frame and policies in respect of the assistive. All right. Yeah. Yes, very well. Yeah, in respect of assistive technology for persons with disability, the legal and policy framework for assistive technology in Nigeria has been very significant. Significant and has been recently strengthened by the passage of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Act 2018. Is a federal law. So, and the journey from the law to effective implementation and widespread access remains a work in progress. So the law, we are still battling to make sure that it is, the implementation is well taken to the grassroots that will affect all persons with disability. So the law is the law. Thank God the law is passed. So assistive technology can be defined to be any item, piece of equipment, software program, or product systems that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capacity of persons with disability. It acts as a bridge, closing the gap between a person's ability and the demands of their environment. So rather than for the aid to seek disability as a defect, the assistive devices, assistive technology try to curb it. Assistive technology only focuses on removing barriers, thereby unlocking a world of opportunities in education, employment, daily living, and social participation. I know with the aid of assistive technology, the blind can move around with his guide cane and also access education, whether with JAWS or other assistive materials such as Braille devices. And those on with physical disability can also move about on their wheelchair or crutches and other aids. The core principle is that assistive technology enables ability. It does not fix a person's. It does not fix a person. It only empowers them to use their existing skills in order to develop new skills in order to navigate the society, such as in other words, providing another alternative ways of interacting with the world. The Act, that's the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Act, is the most comprehensive and very powerful law regarding the disability rights as far as Nigeria is concerned today. So it's explicitly addressed assistive technology in several key sections, such as slide 4. Section 2 of the Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability. So when the law prohibits discrimination, that means when you are employing, you must provide access to the access through technological devices that can facilitate that can facilitate functionality for the person that is employed in an organization. A blind person, you have to provide the person with a computer system with JAWS, that's job access with speech, that will enable such a person to access and do his or her work. And the environment must be accessible for those on wheelchair. So that's what Section 2 says, that there must not be discrimination in any way at all. So Section 3, Sub 1 of the Act, the section is direct, because that one, it says that government shall produce, publish, and encourage the use of basic signs and symbols for the communication and understanding of persons with disability. Produce, publish, and encourage the use of necessary assistive technology and devices for persons with disability. So this is more specific and direct. This is not implied. So the law also supports technology, because you know that today, without technology, persons with disability may not be able to function effectively in the society. Section 6 mandates all public buildings to be more accessible for persons with disability. So it's just like the Section 2 that I said. If Section 2 has been implemented with vigor and without no discrimination, taking into, if you are building a structure now, and you take into consideration all persons, including persons with disability, that means you have invariably created an inclusive building, thereby the society. So that's what Section 6 also is talking about, that providing all public buildings must be accessible for persons with disability. So accessible technology like RAM, hearing loops, braille signage, and accessible door mechanisms. Those are some of the technologies that will make a building accessible to persons with the different categories of persons with disability. Section 9 of the law requires employers to make reasonable accommodations for employees with disability in their workforce, so which include the provision of special facilities, assistive devices, and appliances. So it's still almost the same with what we are saying, what I've been saying. Also in Section 6, when you provide accessible infrastructures, you also provide accessible equipment, because it's of no use when you employ a person with disability and you fail to provide what he or she will work with in the organization. It's not about favoritism or carrying the person with disability over the non-person with disability. But those are the instruments or equipment a person with disability will need to use to function effectively on an equal basis with those without disability. So Section 16 focuses on education. It mandates all public educational institutions to be inclusive and have accessibility for persons with disability, and be equipped with necessary facilities, assistive technology, and resources. So all educational institutions must have accessible classrooms, lecture rooms, braille books, large print books for those with low vision, sign language interpreters for those with hearing impaired, and also hearing lip, to make the school inclusive and accessible. Section 25 of the Act also established the National Commission for Persons with Disability. So the key function of the body is regulatory and enforcement of the provisions of the law, and also oversees the implementation of this assistive technology by every person in the society, by the government itself, the public and the private sectors. So, other national policies also that talks about disability or implied assistive technology or implied assistive technology for persons with disability, and national policy on disability provides strategic framework for implementing the Act. It outlines specific strategies and actions, including promoting research and development. So the policies encourages local production and adaptation of affordable assistive technology to reduce dependence on expensive importations. Largely we import all assistive devices used by persons with disability up to the level of guy canes. And I believe the simplest of the devices can even be produced in Nigeria, guy cane. We still import it. So also funding and subsidies. So the employing mechanisms for tax waivers on imported assistive devices and establishing subsidy programs to make them affordable for persons with disability, so that it can be easily affordable and they can make use of it. Training and capacity building. Also, ensuring professionals like the therapists, teachers of persons with disability, technicians, are regularly trained and make use in order to maintain and also make use of these assistive technologies. We will have one organization presently in Lagos that is even saddled with also repairing and these equipment, assistive tech, access tech, sorry. So they are into repairing. So we can have more of them, so that because as we said, we import and it's very highly expensive. And also, if such, for example, like a braille device used by the blind is faulty, for you to get the parts, you have to send it abroad for it to be repaired. So that's another cost. And these scooters used by those person with physical challenge, the parts of those scooters are not produced here in Nigeria, they are imported. So if you have people that are trained and those parts manufactured in Nigeria, it will really save costs and reduce this cost. Awareness raising. So creating public awareness about the availability and benefits of assistive technology. And that's what Codisa is doing here today. At least Codisa is promoting and also telling the public the importance of assistive technology to persons with disability. So I, in person, am lauding their efforts in doing that. So other relevant laws and policies. So the National Health Care 2014. So why not, though not explicit in mentioning assistive technology, but it's established a framework for national health scheme. So, and if you establish a national health scheme for everybody, with the passage of the Lagos, the Discrimination Against Persons with Provision Act, so they have no choice than to make provisions for persons with disability, and they must provide as assistive devices for everybody, such as wheelchair, hearing aids, and prostheses in their in all primary health care level. They must provide it there because it's of no use a person going to access health and getting there, it does not have access to move around. And also the building also must be accessible. The National Policy on Inclusive Education 2016. This policy also strengthens advocacy for the use of assistive technology to support the learning of children with disability and in mainstreaming schools. It calls for provisions of devices like screen readers. Screen readers is what the blind use to access the information on computer, braille materials, large prints, and adaptable softwares. So the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG. Though Nigeria is committed to the UN SDG, but it's not a Nigerian law, but Nigeria is committed to it. So particularly, go for quality education. Go 10, reduce inequality. Implicitly supports the provision of assistive technology as a means of achieving inclusive development. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability is an international law, a United Nations law that has been ratified by Nigeria in the year 2007. So, and the Discrimination Against the Persons Provision Act is an offshoot of that. United Nations Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability. So Article 4, Article 20 of the law obliges all the states, that is all countries, to measure and provide affordable assistive technology and facilitate access to it for persons with disability. So those are some of the main laws that also assist persons with disability. Then, like a person with disability can cite or they can use for to actualize their rights. So we also have agencies of government that are in charge of persons with disability or implementation of these policies and legal framework. As I have said earlier, the National Commission for Persons with Disability, it is the body saddled with the enforcement of the discrimination against persons with disability. The Act established the body, so it's an agency of government. So, and it's also in charge of monitoring to make sure that this assistive technology is being provided in schools, in health facilities, and in public buildings. We also have Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development. It is the ministry that oversees the commission, the Disability Commission. We also have Ministry of Health, responsible for provision of assistive technology within the health sector. So there's also Ministry of Education, responsible for implementing inclusive education policies and legal framework for persons with disability within the educational sectors. We also have National Agency for Science and Engineering in Infrastructure, that's NACINI. This is the agency mandated to promote local technological development, which could encompasses the design and manufacturing of assistive technology. So now moving to challenges. So despite the robust legal framework, significant challenges persist. One, lack of specific implementation guidelines. So the law exists, but there's no specific guidelines mandating provisions for assistive technology. The law itself, when the law is passed, there are a lot of sections that are needed to be elaborated upon. So it is the guidelines and the regulations that will provide explicit explanation on how each of the sections or provisions of the law be carried out. So that one is still in short. This thing. Then we have funding and availability. Assistive technology is often very expensive, and there is no widespread national subsidy or health insurance scheme that covers the full cost for citizens with disability. So we also have low local production. So I've said earlier, all our assistive devices are being imported. So we need subsidy and even tax waivers where they are not employed, and we need encouragement for local companies to start producing them in Nigeria. And also, we have awareness and capacity building. So persons with disability, their family, and even service providers are not fully aware of types of assistive technology available. So A lot of people are not aware of type of technology that is even accessible, available to even assist them. So there's need for awareness and also training of the professionals on how to maintain them. There is infrastructural gap. So there should be the intermittent electricity and poor internet connectivities also limits the effectiveness of power independent and digital assistive technology. So those are just the challenges we have. So in conclusion, Nigeria has made a huge leap forward with the passage of the Discrimination Against Persons Prohibition Act 2018. This provides a strong legal foundation for the right to assistive technology. The focus has now rightly shifted to implementation. The success of these laws and policies will depend on, one, the political will and adequate funding. So all what we are saying about the access and affordable waiver tax is all about political will. And where there is no political will, it will be very difficult to achieve. Then the development of clear national assistive technology program with sustainable funding. So that one should also be provided for. There is public and private partnership to develop local innovations, production and distribution of assistive aids, continuous awareness campaign, and capacity building. The framework is promising, but the tangible impact on the delay leaves the estimated 25 to 30 million persons with disability is still unfolding. So, thank you for listening.
Please let's put our hands together again for Barrister Babatunde Safiu, who just took us through the overview of Nigeria's laws and policies on assistive technology for persons with disabilities. I know you've listened, and there was a lot that he, shared with us in terms of the policies, the national policy on disability. It was a lot to take in within just a very short period. And from what I heard, it seemed like there were more challenges than, there's a lot of work to be done. And we all have a role in ensuring that that work is done. He said the political will is there, sustainable funding, public and private partnerships, and then awareness. He kept saying awareness. And that's part of what Codisa is doing here today. Advocacy, training and capacity building. We can go for the low-hanging fruits, the awareness, and that's where we're starting from as an NGO. Yes, funding is required for us to be able to move forward. And I'd like us to put our hands together for the Chapel of the Healing Cross, because when it was listing certain things that organizations need to have, I was proud of this, place of worship, because I can say that the Chapel of the Healing Cross is an inclusive place of worship. We have the ramps to allow people who are wheelchair bound to get into the church. We have an accessible toilet. We have, in our workforce, we have a visually impaired person working in the church. Is also, we have, there's so many things that, we can say that we're inclusive. Even in the Sunday school, we have a teacher who can help the hearing impaired, because we have hearing impaired students also worshiping with us in this church. So there are little things that we can all do to make sure that the society is inclusive and that we're carrying everybody along together. So thank you once again, Barrister Babatunde Safiu. So we didn't do housekeeping before we started this program, and I would just like to do that. There are 4 doors with which you can exit this building. There's one to my left, right here, and then another to my right. And right at the rear of the church, there we have exit doors to the left and to the right. The bathroom is all the way to, down the corridor to the left, and also all the way to the right if you need to use the bathroom. And then we also have some of our volunteers. We have Auntie Yetunde, please stand up for recognition. We also have Mrs. Shole, right? So if you need anything, if you need help, they're standing right there at the door to my left, and then you can meet them and they will help you with whatever it is that you need to do. As we mentioned earlier, this is the 12th workshop that we're having this year. So we started in September 2013. For those of us who are not able to have the notepads that we distributed, I'll just read through the topics that we have gone through over the past 12 years. So in September 2013, we looked at deafness, a disability or not. In September 2014, we looked at raising the visually impaired child. September 2015, we looked at hydrocephalus and spina bifida, know the facts and get educated. September 2016, we looked at aging gracefully, prospects and challenges. September 2017, we looked at aging gracefully part 2, our responsibilities as caregivers. In September 2018, we looked at cerebral palsy, causes, stigma, reality, and management. In September 2019, we looked at Down syndrome, facts, myth, and reality, what we need to know. September 2020, that was the COVID era, we had our very first webinar, and we looked at bridging the gap for persons with disabilities in challenging times. And then in September 2021, we had version 2, which was bridging the gap for persons with disabilities, less talk, more action. In September 2022, we looked at achieving emotional stability in an unstable climb. And in September 2023, we looked at understanding dyslexia and ADHD, symptoms, diagnosis, and management. It was at this workshop that we realized that most of us had a form of disability. That is not just, visually impaired, because some of us exhibited the symptoms of ADHD. September 2024, we looked at disability, acts of inclusion. And this year, we had an initial workshop, which was a hands-on workshop in partnership with Google, where we had like a digital literacy training for the visually impaired. And it was that workshop that gave birth to our topic for this year's workshop. And I would like to, I know that when we had that workshop, we were only able to train about 46 persons for that workshop, visually impaired people. But it was from that workshop that we also knew that more awareness and, we needed to bridge the knowledge gap in assistive technology. And one of the speakers here is the one who handled that workshop. And I can, testify in church. We had somebody in that workshop whose name is Mr. Boduri. He actually works in this church. And I know that he's a member of the choir. But prior to that workshop, we usually, the choir of this church, they have virtual rehearsals. But prior to that training that they had in July, that Codisa partnered with Google in July 2025, he wasn't able to join the virtual rehearsals. But based on what he learned from that workshop, the hands-on training, right after that training, it was able to participate fully in the virtual rehearsals using his Android phone. So, it was from that training that people were able to discover that there are certain features on the Android phone that they were not able to utilize. But from that training, they learned how to use it. And I believe that it's making them, navigate their environments more easily. And that's the function of assistive technology. And that's why we have brought you here today to learn about how you can, make lives easy, your life easier, how you can also ensure that everybody is on the same, not on the same level to a certain extent, but you can also just get them practically on the same level and everybody's comfortable living, fulfilling their potential. So without much ado, I'm going to bring on the speaker who handled that training in July 2025. And that is, I have the pleasure of inviting Ms. Ugochi Agoreyo. She's going to be taking us on the role of AI and smart technologies in enhancing independence for persons with disabilities. We'll listen to her profile.
Is a seasoned strategy expert and management executive with over 20 years of experience in tech partnerships. She has worked with Google and Microsoft, leads Google's search partnerships in sub-Saharan Africa, and passionately advocates for women in tech and inclusive technology for people with disabilities.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is happy to be here, excited. I would really like that the workshop is, a bit more inclusive. We are a bit more interactive. But first of all, a little bit of housekeeping on my side. The introduction has already been done, but I think that I would usually like to start with explaining, because I know there's a number of people here with various disabilities. So I would usually like to explain how I look so that people that can't see me have in their heads a vision of who is speaking to them. So again, my name is Ugochi. I work with Google. I am 5'8", 5 feet 8 inches height. I'm wearing a blue Adire dress and white sneakers. Happy to meet everyone. So we do have slides, but I will be explaining. I will be talking through the slides so that if you can't see the slides, you understand what I'm talking about as well. I'll wait for the slides to come up. But before the slides come up, we're talking about, the topic today is how AI and smart technologies are transforming independence for Nigerians with disabilities. So I'd like to start, first of all, with maybe asking a question. I said that I'll try and make it a bit more interactive. So maybe asking a question. How many people here know about artificial intelligence, which is AI? Okay, not as many as I would hope, but I think a good number. So we're going to talk a lot about artificial intelligence today, but I want to challenge you to say that you do know about artificial intelligence, you just don't realize that you do. Who believes that? So the reason I say this is because artificial intelligence today is seen as something new, something novel, something that just, appeared and all of us are confused about it. We don't know enough about it. We don't know whether it's going to help us. We don't know whether today it will take away what we see as the way that we have known the world to work. But I want to assure you that it's not going to do that, and you have lived with artificial intelligence for a really long time. And I'll give you some examples. Who knows music providers that recommend music to you? People like Spotify, Audiomack, Boomplay. Apple Music. Those are music providers that we use every day. If you listen to music, how many people listen to music on their phones? Almost everybody. If you listen to music today and are recommended songs to listen to, that's artificial intelligence behind that technology. If you have a smartphone that tells you how many steps you've taken, health data that we've used for years, the technology behind that is artificial intelligence. So I'm here to tell you that you know about artificial intelligence, even if you thought you did not, and you've been using it for a very long time. So it's not scary. It's not something that, is novel. It's something that has been around for a really long time, but today we're beginning to take more advantage of the possibilities that come with artificial intelligence. So that's really the introduction for today, and then I'll just kick off the presentation. So, for millions of Nigerians living with disabilities, artificial intelligence and smart technologies are rapidly becoming essential tools to overcome daily challenges and live more independently. It's empowering lives. These innovations support a wide range of disabilities. We've talked today about a number of disabilities that we see amongst us. Some of them are visual, hearing, physical, and cognitive. When we say cognitive, we're talking about learning type disabilities, neurodivergent individuals, things like ADHD, autism. Those are the cognitive disabilities that we're talking about. AI provides personalized assistance, enhancing communication, improving mobility, and promoting inclusion in education, work, and our social activities. Next slide. Do I see the next slide? Yeah, but it's too small like that. I have to look at this one. Sorry, I'm just going to move this a little so I can see this one. So what really is the role of AI and smart technologies for people with disabilities? One of the key things that it does is that it removes barriers that we see with AI, right? And gives us the opportunity for us to engage more effectively within the community, within our schools, within our workplaces. AI uses machine learning. I don't know who knows about machine learning. But this is very technical. I'm going to skip the technical part because this is very technical. But the idea of artificial intelligence is that it uses machine learning, natural language processing, and computer vision to adapt to our unique individual needs. These technologies help Nigerians with disabilities to navigate the environment, communicate effectively, manage health. I've talked about smart devices that you wear, like watches, your smart watches. It helps you to manage your health and helps you to perform your daily tasks with more autonomy. So you might not need as many people supporting as you did before if you embrace these smart technologies. And we'll talk a little bit about those. Examples are voice-activated assistants. So you do know about some voice-activated assistants. I'm going to ask a question now. Who can give me one example of a voice-activated assistant? Okay, I think one person. Yes, yes. So there's Google Access. There are other hands. You can speak. Sorry, Sorry, she's coming with the microphone, sorry. Okay, desktop access. I think there was somebody else. Okay. Okay, so you have an idea of what voice-activated assistants are. Things like Siri, Alexa are really popular, Google Assistant. Those will help you navigate if you are not able to see or if you have low vision. Those are really good for navigating. We also have interpreters, sign language interpreters that are AI-powered now or can convert speech to text in real time. These tools remove the barriers that have traditionally limited independence and social participation. Now with those tools, you can actively engage. The person who introduced before talked about the workshop that we had and how that was physically implemented by someone within this church. And those are the things that we want to kind of draw out from this workshop today. That if you embrace these technologies, it helps you to become a bit more independent and helps you interact a bit more socially. So next slide. So in each group of impairments, right, there are ways that you can transform lives. But I'll talk about the 5 key ways that AI is transforming lives today. We've talked about independence. It's enhancing your independence. We've talked about smartphones, wearable devices that help you to be a bit more independent. It helps you to bridge your communication, right? So you have examples as speech-to-text devices, text-to-speech devices, and I know that a number of you already use those. Yes, so those are examples there, and then you have sign language translators as well that are powered by smart technology, AI. Those will help you to communicate, bridge communication gaps that you traditionally would have seen before. It also has personalized support, right? So you have things like chatbots that are very predominant today. One of the key things that we are able to do with AI is create chatbots really quickly, where you would have had to hire people to do that before, spend months trying to build a chatbot. Literally now, you can get an AI assistant that creates a chatbot in minutes. And that will help you bridge communication a bit more. It helps you monitor your health. We already talked about smart health devices, your smart wristwatches and things like that. And then it also helps you with social inclusion. So sometimes it's difficult for you to integrate if you are not able to bridge these communication gaps with people who do not have disabilities. But now, with these technologies, it's easier for you to be socially inclusive, to join the conversations, to engage with more people than you traditionally do. So these are the 5 ways that AI is helping us transform our lives today. Next slide, please. So there's some breakthrough technologies that we see today that are emerging. What we do realize is that sometimes it comes later to Nigeria, but it will come. But there are breakthrough technologies there that we see coming up from these smart technologies. The first one I put here is AI-powered prosthetics. They use neural signal adaptation for precise movement control, right? The second one is voice-activated smart homes. So where we've talked about voice-activated assistants, we're beginning to see a lot of smart homes that are voice-activated. So you open the door and say, turn on the lights, and it turns on the lights. You go into your home and say, put on the air conditioner, or put on the heating if you're living outside of Nigeria, and it does that. So we're beginning to see things like that. We have sign language avatar systems that are becoming really popular. And we'll play an example once I've finished this slide of a sign language avatar. So they do real-time translations, enhancing deaf community communication. We have virtual cognitive assistants that support memory and executive function. This is for people who are neurodiverse, have learning disabilities. These sorts of virtual cognitive assistants help them greatly to engage more with the things that are taught. And then we have intelligent navigation apps. These are more for your environment and moving around. So the apps that talk to you about where to go, how to move, what's in front of you, the number of people in a room. We have a lot of apps like that. I'm also going to play a short video about one of those types of AI solutions from Google called Gemini Live. But for now, let's play the avatar, the sign language avatar video.
Attention passengers of Delta Flight DL 1056 to New York City. Your gate has been changed for boarding. Thank you.
Thank you. So you can see that from Sign Avatar, this is fully created by AI. So where you would have traditionally needed someone to come to the gates to sign to someone who is hearing impaired, here they have avatars that are created fully by AI that they can deploy everywhere. And this just, eases that communication. You don't need someone following you around. You don't need to ask for translation. And that's what the technology is doing today. And that's what we are hoping will continue to improve, will continue to be more prevalent, and will make your lives easier. So, next slide. Let's go to the next slide. So we have some solutions we've talked about already for the visually impaired, but I'll go through a few of them again. So you have screen readers and text-to-speech solutions. So you have tools like TalkBack on Android. I don't know how many people have Android phones, but Android phones have many assistive features built into the phone already. So you have things like TalkBack. TalkBack will read the things on your phone to you. And then you have, so TalkBack would read things like websites, emails, documents allowed that will enhance digital access. You have smart navigation aids. We've talked a bit about that. So there's something called Google's Project Guideline, which provides audio feedback about your surroundings, and that eases your daily travel and shopping and even running. Like if you're running, it helps you to see the area around you and then make sure that you're running in the right direction and you are not meeting any obstacles. And then you have AI object recognition apps like Gemini Live, which I talked about before. One thing that we can do before we leave here is actually just download Gemini. If you download Gemini, you have Gemini Live immediately. And Gemini Live will help you to navigate your environment. So you have apps like that. They identify objects, they read signs for you, and they describe the surroundings through your phone camera. And we could do, but I don't know if we have time, but we could do a demonstration. It's really easy. Once you have Gemini Live on your phone and just say, Gemini, can you tell me what you see in front of you? And it will describe exactly what it sees. And if there are obstacles before you, if there are signs you need to be aware of, it will read the signs. So that's really easy to do. Next slide, please. So I'm going to deep dive into Gemini Live. So Gemini Live is an interactive, real-time conversational experience. So you're talking to the app, and the app is doing what you ask it to do. It enables users to engage in voice or video sessions. So you could talk, and you could talk and it talks back to you, or you could go to video where you want it to actually see the environment for you and describe it to you. Allowing for continuous context-sensitive interactions. The assistant listens, observes, and interprets both visual and spoken cues, making it highly responsive to dynamic environments and user needs. The key features of Gemini Live are it has instant voice or video-based conversations with the AI, and it understands and responds to your ongoing changes in the environment. So if somebody else comes into the room, if there's something happening, something has fallen down, it responds immediately to say, I see now this person doing this. So I'll play another video so you just have an example of what Gemini Live can do.
Hi, Gemini. Can you remember everything that's on this page? Because I'm going to quiz you afterwards.
Okay, I'm ready. Fire away with your questions.
Sweet. What was the title of the diagram?
The title of the diagram is The Sky of Hidden Colors.
Nice. In what context was the stars of the Milky Way mentioned here?
The stars of the Milky Way were mentioned in the context of visible light. The text explains that our eyes can only see a narrow range of light, and the Milky Way is visible within that range. The diagram is showing that there's a whole sky of hidden colors that becomes visible when we use equipment sensitive to wavelengths beyond what our eyes can detect.
Sweet. Can you give me a fun mnemonic to help me remember all the kinds of light that's mentioned?
Sure. Try this. Really mad insects visited Uncle Xavier's garden. It covers radio, microwave, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma ray.
Sweet, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, so what we saw on the video was someone asking Gemini Live to memorize some written document. And this document could be your schoolwork, it could be a magazine someone has given to you, it could be anything, a newspaper that someone hands to you, even though they don't know that you can't visually read that newspaper. So all you do is point your camera to whatever has been given to you and say, Gemini Live, can you remember what is here and tell me? And then I will quiz you. So this person was saying, you had better remember because I'm going to quiz you on what you are reading, and then gives Gemini Live a few seconds to read, and then he asks him about everything that he saw on the page. And Gemini Live basically explained everything, and then he said, can you help me, give me, like, you know when you're studying and you try to remember things, you know we always use different tactics to remember things. I remember when I was in school, I would use one letter for each sentence. So I would, and that's what is done. So he gave him a really simple, catchy sentence that helps him remember everything that was on that slide. So that's the beauty of things like Gemini Live. And like I said, that's something you can use from the minute you walk out of this room. If you download Gemini Live now, you basically can say to it, what do you see in front of me? How many steps do I need to take to get out of here? When do I turn left? And it will explain all of that to you. Another really easy thing, and this is just a bonus, that I do with Gemini Live is if I was going, like today, coming out today, and I wasn't sure what to wear, I would go to my wardrobe and then scan the wardrobe with Gemini Live, and I'll say, I'm going for a workshop where I'm going to speak about this and this and this. What do you think I should wear? And then Gemini Live will say, you know that blue dress would look really nice if you pair it with these shoes that are this, that, and that. And then it would say, do you have accessories you want me to look at so I can match it? And I do this a lot, and it's always right. You always look nice. So you can do that as well. If you wanted to get dressed and you weren't sure what to wear and you can't see the options, Gemini Live will tell you what's there, what they think suits the occasion you're going for, and if you have any accessories, they can match with what you're wearing. So it's a really cool tool. I think everyone should get, using it. Now let's move on to hearing and physical disability solutions. So we have things like AI-powered hearing aids as well. These are amplifying. These are amplifying sound and noises better than we were hearing them before, and they're translating languages and detecting falls so that caregivers can be alert. So these are things that we weren't able to do before, but we're able to do now with these smart technologies. We also have sign language translations, where you have avatars, we've seen that, and speech-to-text apps, like the ones that we've talked about for Android, as well as some other providers like Roger Voice. These enable real-life communication independence. We have AI-enabled prosthetics. So there are some programs like Nigeria's Work Again project that use 3D printing and brain-machine interfaces for affordable, customizable mobility solutions. We're hoping that as the years go by, these solutions become more widely available, more providers, more Nigerian technology companies, and we heard a bit from the speaker before about how expensive these technologies are to import into Nigeria. So the idea is that we're able to both public and private institutions work together to make sure that Nigerians are producing some of these solutions. We have lots of Nigerians trying to build AI solutions today. Our conversations are that these people build inclusive technology so that it helps people with disabilities. We are also actively engaging the government. At this point, the government is trying to develop a national EdTech strategy. And one of the key things that we're talking to the government about is that there is an equity and inclusion portion of that EdTech strategy. And it's something that I'm closely working with the government on. Hopefully, these things will improve the way that people with disabilities are able to engage in different sectors, because some of the recommendations are things like implementation of the policies, making sure that these policies are seen across the federation and not just concentrated on certain states, and ensuring that we build the capacity to build these solutions here so that everyone has an advantage and everyone is able to access the technology. So I think the next slide. So we have some hearing solution examples. The one that I'm going to be talking about is captions and transcriptions powered by AI. So automatic captioning on YouTube. You know that YouTube, who knows that YouTube is a Google solution? YouTube is a Google company. So Google owns YouTube. Sorry, the slide is gone. So we have automatic captioning on YouTube, which is powered by ASR technology. ASR is automatic speech recognition. So this is AI as well. We have live caption on Android phones and Chrome extensions. Android and Chrome are obviously Google solutions as well. They use automatic speech recognition technology to provide real-time captions for any audio or video content. Thank you. Any audio or video content. We have Google Meets. Google Meets is our meeting tool that you can use with your office sort of applications. This continues to offer real-time captions for meetings in a wide variety of languages, as well as offering real-time translated captions. So during your meetings, it can translate speech as it is happening in the meeting, so that you can read that and follow the meeting. And then we also have expressive captions. This is a feature that uses AI to add more emotion and context to captions. For example, things like applauses. So if you're clapping, applause if you're clapping. Size and duration. So like time, so that you can understand that time has elapsed. So we have that. I'm going to play a video that shows an example of that. So what you're seeing is the caption. What you're seeing is that what we're seeing on the screen is a match is happening, and the captioning is happening for the narration of the match. So you know how when they're playing football matches, people are talking and saying a goal, this and that. So there's captioning that is happening. So I know some people can't see the video, but that's what's playing now on the screen. Okay. So I think we can go to the next slide. So you can follow. So this means that if you are hearing impaired, you can follow the match as it's happening. You can follow commentary because you will see the captions as the commentary is happening. So there's also cognitive support and mental health. So for cognitive support and mental health, some of the smart technologies that we see today are personalized virtual assistants. These are various AI apps and tools that provide learning support, medication reminders, appointment scheduling, and daily routine management for executive function support. So many people that have cognitive disabilities struggle a lot with executive functioning, which means that they are usually behind time, they can't follow schedules, they seem not to be able to function within just the timelines that we do, but they have all of these apps that can help them, give them quick reminders about things they need to do, structure their work schedules, their school schedules, things that they need for learning, and can help them become a lot more efficient in their work environments and school environments. I'll give a quick example of this. We have a tool called Notebook LM. Notebook LM is another really good tool that I think everyone should get. There's the free version, and there's obviously the paid version. Even if you use the free version, the reason I talk about Notebook LM is I have a child who has a learning disability. And usually, for me to be able to help him with work and make sure he's successful, I need to read with him, which is really time-consuming, and he's not young. So even with high school, he's just gotten into university. But even with high school, it would mean that for the more complex work, I would need to sit down with him and read each chapter and explain it. And then he has a better understanding than what is taught in class. What Notebook LM does today, and we've started using Notebook LM, I think, beginning of last year. What Notebook LM does today is you can take all of his notes. It doesn't matter if it's 300 pages, and upload it into Notebook LM. And Notebook LM in 2 minutes will give you a concise summary, key points of all of his notes. It will give you quizzes that he could do on his own, small quizzes. It would give you a podcast for people that have cognitive disabilities that is easier for them to learn by listening, like my son. So you get a podcast which mimics me and him going over his notes, because it's 2 people talking about the notes and saying, do you realize that you could do this? I'll give you an example of this. So it will give you a podcast that he can listen to over and over again instead of me sitting down with him for hours at a stretch. It will give you a mind map so that if he is not clear about a certain point, he just clicks on a point in the mind map and he gives him all of the summaries of that point. And this is a game changer for anyone that has ever struggled with understanding work, school. I mean, you are really learning at your pace and in the very best way that you are able to. If it's visual, if it's reading, and now Notebook LM has introduced videos, so it can actually convert this learning to videos if you are a more visual learner, so that videos are easier for you to learn. It now can convert to videos. This is a new feature which launched in the last 2 months. I'm really excited about the possibilities that AI and smart technology has brought to really difficult areas like education, health, agriculture. Now, with things like agriculture, you can forecast the weather. You can forecast, your harvest. And you can do that in Nigeria today, because we've just launched forecasting tools, AI forecasting tools for Google. So you can do that, and it's launched in Nigeria. So you can do that today. So it's really, really exciting to think about the things that we are able to do today and the things that are coming in the future. So Notebook LM, I've talked about that. I've explained it. So I'm going to play a video about Notebook LM, which I think is, and I'm not saying it because I work at Google. I mean, last year, Time magazine said Notebook LM was one of the 10 best inventions that they had seen in 2024. It's amazing. So we can play the video and just listen.
If you're a student, a worker, someone doing your master's, or anyone at all that has to read some documents, but reading is not really your thing, this video is for you. I found an AI website that's going to turn any document into a podcast for you to listen easily. All you have to do is to go to this website, notebooklm.google, go to Try Notebook LM, New Notebook, upload your document. Once it's done uploading, click Generate. And the AI is going to analyze the document that you uploaded, and it's going to turn it into a conversation between 2 AIs where they discuss the document that you uploaded. And this is how it sounds.
Buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into a topic that's sure to get you thinking. We're tackling a question that might seem like a no-brainer now, but stick with us.
You can find this when you go to this website on your screen, or just comment notes in the comment section down below, and I'll send you the link direct. Don't keep this video to yourself. Make sure you save it and you share it with anyone at all that you think might find this useful. And as usual, stay liquid. And I'll see you in my next upload. Peace. I'm out.
So I was very intentional with finding a video that wasn't a Google one, so you know that this is not just me. This is not just me talking. But you heard an example of the podcast. And you heard the way the podcast started. So it will catch your attention. It will make sure you're listening. So it's not just reading out things. It's actually acting like it's discussing with you and saying, I'm going to take you on a ride. So whoever this child is that traditionally doesn't like to read is more excited about listening to this podcast and can listen to it because it's exciting a number of times. And that eases a lot of work for caregivers for that particular child and teachers as well. So, yeah. So while most of these technologies, like I said, have been developed outside of Nigeria, Nigeria is growing its efforts by government agencies, like I said, NGOs, private individuals, to make sure that these technologies are available to persons with disabilities in Nigeria. It might be slow, but it's coming. And with things like these conversations that we're having today, this workshop, we're encouraging people to, first of all, keep the hope, understand what's available today that you can use, and understand that there are things that are coming that will improve your lives drastically, right? We do have key challenges. I don't like to dwell on challenges, but I'm going to just talk about them very briefly. But we do have key challenges, which is awareness, and that's one of the things that we're trying to solve today. Make sure that people are aware of what's here, what's coming, and infrastructure. But obviously, infrastructure is something that we can't fix today. But again, we're engaging government, private sector participants, and hopefully soon, things like network, data, devices, more affordable devices will be solved. Those are the things under the bucket of infrastructure that lots of people are working hard to solve for Nigerians. But yes, so I think that's basically a summary, I guess, of what we have. So I'm hoping that we keep the faith, building this accessible future for all of us, I think is a joint effort by everyone, yourselves, all of us here making this presentation. Codisa, I thank you very much for this opportunity to create this awareness and keep hope alive for people with disabilities. Thank you for having me.
We can do better than that. I'm also going to be clapping because this notebook LM, I'm so going to go and download it because I don't like to read. I like books that have large print. And I just love the fact that something can summarize everything for me and I'll just be listening and just lounging. So it is something I'm going to definitely go and download and use. Ugochi has done a whole lot. I know that there's so many features that we're not aware of today that she has opened our eyes to. And then we shouldn't just keep it here with us. We should also share. After this event, we can share the videos of this workshop. We can also tell people what we have learned today. Awareness is key. The only way we can keep hope alive is by encouraging people, let them understand what is available. We might not be able to get them immediately, but with time, the government and public-spirited individuals and donors will make sure that these things are available for us. But it's important that we keep hope alive. So please let's put our hands together once again for Ugochi Agoreo for Google. I know we've been sitting for so long, right? So we need to do some warm-up and energize ourselves before we move over to our next set of speakers. So before we start, right, whatever I say, you will do the opposite, okay? Whatever I say, you will do the opposite of whatever it is that I say. So, sit down. Put your left hand up. Don't clap. Touch your left knee. Don't shake your neighbor. Don't put your hands up. Stand up. Put your hands together for yourselves. All right. Again, we're going to warm up with clapping, right? And we're going to warm up with clapping, right? And we'll rub our hands together, right, like this. When I say Atama, you clap once, right? Atama is clap once. When I say Labako, you clap twice. And when I say Labarina, you just keep clapping, clapping, clapping. And then when I say shoot, you put your hand like this. Okay, I'll do that again. You rub your hands together. When I say Atama, you clap once. Labako, twice. Labarina, you keep clapping, right? And then you shoot, and then you, all right. So let's rub our hands together. Atama, 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 Labako, 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 Labarina. Shoot. All right, one more time, and then we'll go over to our next speaker. Let's rub our hands together. Are we ready? Atama, 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 Labako, 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 Labarina. Shoot. All right, well done. I'll hand over to Wani and she'll introduce our next set of speakers. Thank you.
Well done, everyone. We're now in the afternoon. We started out in the morning, and we'll go, hopefully the rest of the session goes smoothly. We've heard 2 speakers speak, and we have 2 other speakers before we go into the questions and answers. Please, if you have any questions as we go, just jot them down, and we'll take them at once so that we can also save some time. The next topic we're going to be discussing today is church-led initiatives and partnerships. Church-led initiatives. Church-led initiatives and partnerships, expanding assistive technology outreach. And to take us through this topic, we have Evangelist Sule Akinremi. Please, let's put our hands together. Can we have his profile up?
Evangelist Sule Akinremi has served for over 35 years as a church worker at the Christian Mission for the Deaf Church, Lagos. He holds an NCE in English and Special Education and a bachelor's degree in English Education and a diploma from the Shorewood Bible Institute. He has dedicated his life to teaching, preaching, raising youth in leadership, and undertaking evangelical missions across the country. Date:
Good morning, everybody. I greet you all with the love of Christ. It is the love of Christ that brought me here. Once again, I say good morning to you all. I want to thank Codisa for giving me this opportunity to be here today. I was so surprised. Since 2024, you have been doing, 2013, you have been doing this program, and this is the very first time that I will be here. However, I want to apologize because I have one confession to give to you. I have one confession. When my church called me to tell me about this invitation, when I read the information, I was surprised that this type of church has been existing, and they have come again. For most of my life, I have been going to Babalawo, Afar, to church, to look for a miracle, to be able to hear and talk, when I was young. But when I heard the name of the church, healing, the chapel of the healing cross, maybe I will get my healing here, since I have been going to. I have suffered enough about this hearing impaired situation of that. They put me here and there, Babalawo and all of that. But when I heard, I have gone to a lot of places to seek for healing. But I am happy to be here this morning. Okay. Codisa. Now, we want to talk about church-led initiative and partnership expanding assistive technology for deaf people. I am going to speak about assistive technology and how impactful it is on deaf individual and the church and the people. Technology, assistive technology. However, I will start with, I want us to see one quote, one of my favorite statements. Some men see things as they are and asked, why? I dream of things that never were and asked, why not? That is one of my favorite quotes. Things that were never possible before are now become possible through technology. And technology is working with invention, and that is happening now. The materials, the things, you just think of things that you think is not possible. You go online and you find them. And language perspection. I never thought it's going to be possible, but thank God for this. Our former lecturer for that information. That there are things that they think is not possible, but he can say it's very possible. Deafness is about our ear, that we cannot hear. Because we cannot hear, we lost many things. But of the things that we lost about the information, the fact is that if we talk now, people can easily hear, but for the deaf, we cannot hear. We will be the last person to hear the current information that is of things that is happening. In the line of communication, deaf people are the last to be aware. For example, as you are speaking, it is the interpreter that will hear that voice, that information first, before pass the information across to them. So they are the last person. The communication is in two ways, but for the deaf, it's three. 1, 2, before getting back to them. The person that is that is disseminating that information, number 1. The interpreter, number 2, before it gets to them. So they are the third party to listen to any information, any current information at all. That is the challenges that deafness imposes in them. But thankful for the technology that make the information to become little ease for them. That recently, he has an health challenge. He went to the hospital to see the doctor. The doctor refused to attend to him. He asked him that, where is your interpreter? I told the doctor that, no, I don't need an interpreter. We can talk, we can relate, and he started writing. But the doctor said no, and he also received that I can cope. Why the deaf problem will be based on interpreter alone? Even if I can write, I can see the doctor, and you prescribe. Okay, if I want to discuss a personal situation about my health with you, must the interpreter be aware? If, assuming you have HIV or you have cancer, and you want to discuss with doctor for examination, and you say it through the interpreter, if the interpreter is not private enough, all the world will know the ailment that you are carrying. Or, okay, if you have gonorrhea, the interpreter will hear about it. So that is one of the problem and shortcome of a deaf individual. But technology have made it more easier for them. I have phone number of my interpreter. I have the phone number of my pathologist. I have phone number of my doctors. I can go and make a text message or type the situation that is going on with him. As far as interpreter is concerned, there might be a limitation to what the deaf can do when it comes to some situation. But like the church matter is bringing the gospel to the world, as simple as it is. Yet, for the deaf, that gospel will have to tell them the way and understand. Definitely the interpreter will be needed. Like with the deaf that are sitting here, let me tell you, deafness does not come in isolation. With deafness, when it comes, the speech disorder. When there is the speech disorder, there is deafness. Because if you cannot talk, if you cannot hear, you cannot talk. And if you can talk and you cannot hear, definitely deafness has already set in. Blindness. There is a group of people outside who are both deaf and blind. But all the technology that Madam have listed for us, how can it affect or improve someone that cannot hear and talk to get improved with those assist the AI? Know that it is not just deafness. Other disability is attached and hiding somewhere. Like for example now, education. Make it easy for people like him, like himself, to understand Christ has died. But for most deaf people, what happened? That Christ died. You have to do a lot of explanation. How? With the story of how Christ died. For people like us, we understand that we understand what happened. Christ have died. But for them, they have to be explained to lot of explanation that why would Christ died. So as we are here now, the language that we are speaking is English. The language we are using is English, but his friend, English is not language of deaf people. English is not the language of deaf people. You can say, in the beginning, in the past, the missionary from America came to Nigeria. One of them is Dr. Andrew Foster. He brought gospel of Christ to the deaf in Nigeria. But the difficulties there is communication. He brought gospel, but how to communicate? He first established school to teach them English, to teach them sign language. From that Now he was able to preach Christ to them. Before the gospel come, there was education first. So if not that, there will be difficulty. That is why for us, to bring gospel to deaf people, there has to be a language that they all understand. A language that is common, that they can easily assimilate. That is what we call sign language. Now, for example, someone is deaf. How do the parents at home communicate with them without the use of sign language? Food. You understand the food. You understand. Water. That sign language and the sign language, it is not English. Sign language is of different types. Like English, I am using it to call sign language English. There is another language that is not in English that will be translated to another language that the deaf people understand. So, to bring Christ to deaf people, it has to be their language. And one of their language is through storytelling. Christ have died, have to be in a story. And that is why, as you are speaking, signing, communicating, some people will understand, but through you all, 5 minutes, one minute to understand information, it will take a deaf people to understand such information 10 minutes. The information that you will get in 1 minute, it will take a deaf people to understand in 10 minutes. Because after you have spoken, I have to explain in the way that they will understand. For example, in many churches, they are doing English and Yoruba service. If you can see such church having Yoruba and English service, first service, second service, Yoruba, and they understand why. If you can do English service and Yoruba service, why not sign language section? So as AI is helping us to reduce the stress, the distance, to bridge the gap, and to make the information that you are getting in 1 minute, for them to get in 10 minutes. Now, the AI is now reducing the stress from 10 to 5 minutes. To bring 1 minute information to deaf individual, it will take like 4 to 5 minutes. It's because of the help of AI that is helping us. John chapter 3 verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him will not lose but have everlasting life. This is simple, understandable for deaf who are educated, but for others, as any deaf that gathered, 95% of the information is lost. Why? Because it says there that deaf live in an isolation. They have a complete disability. So for them to benefit, they have to be breaking down of that point that they can help them to receive and move on. Remember, he said that we can make the information when the speaker is talking, it has to be slow and steady so that they will not lose the receptive information from somebody that is interpreting. So this AI has reduced some of communication difficulties that they are having. Like this one now, when someone is speaking, there is captioning that they written. So if there is that application, some that can read will benefit from the inscription on the screen, and also the importance of interpreter when. So, however, for deaf people to understand. For deaf people to understand much about gospel, there is need of support of hearing people to preach or to teach or preach the word of God by encouraging leadership skills. It is not only leadership. When you gather people in the church and just give them interpreter, some of them may not receive Christ. The best way is every church should train to be pastor, to be an evangelist, to be a church leader, to be a deaf leaders, so that the deaf younger one will be able to benefit from them because they understand the language even more better than the young ones and even better than the interpreters. For them to have leadership, there are materials that are needed to be provided so that they can get developed, because we need to take departure. We need to take departure from where? We have deaf people as our church member, not just number, but where are we taking them to? What do we want them to understand about this? Nothing stops the church from development in the church and their language. In his own church, Christian Mission for the Deaf Church is a church where all deaf are members, where all leaders are deaf, along with the hearing children. But in that place, our capacity to impact is very limited. So we don't have all the AI to make the evangelism to be possible. So we need partnership and collaboration and invention of the organization like Codisa to make things possible and impact more people. Nothing stopped this church from having a deaf pastor. Nothing stopped Catholic Church from having a deaf pastor. Even if possible, one day, the Pope can be deaf. even if it is difficult for a black man to become a pope, but it is very easy for any pope to become a deaf. You may not believe it. You know, there is we have a deaf doctor, we have deaf engineer, we have deaf lawyer, deaf technologist, but deaf pastor is very few. So if we can make this possible, we can make it to encourage people and train. But what we definitely need from you is help us to do a better, help us to develop our potential and leave us alone to lead. That is it. So, for us to move on, there are some challenges. So part of the challenges that we are having is all these AI that she has listed, they are all expensive. Dev cannot afford most of, but with support and collaboration, all will be possible. He has one strong quality that as he is, God has purpose for his life. And we always run out from church. Individually, organizations that would tell that, you will hear one day. No, he's always run away from there. Because God has more purpose. He makes the deaf, he makes the deaf blind. There is no limit in the capacity. He has only God. With that convention, I am proud to be a deaf. And I can read my Bible by myself and understand the meaning of the content of the Bible. If other people believe or not, as I learn, I even try to teach others. I make leads of others. I teach them, I bring them and lead them, generation after generation. That is the development of a leader, and it has to continue. Secondly, we need to take a departure from Tokenem. O-K-E-N. Okay, that's giving the heart of assisting in helping that, okay, he's looking hungry, oh yeah, take. Or what do you want? Oh yeah, give him 1,000, give him 5,000, okay, oh yeah, give him 2 days, okay. Stipend, yes. We need to depart from that. We don't need to sympathy. Yes. Empathy more on empowerment. We don't need to be sympathy. We need to be empathy. Empower disabled people to lead them to the community and let them be independent. Don't see them as someone that is there. We just need to help them. We just need to assist them. So, for that to be possible, I believe collaboration with deaf organizations, many deaf organizations, and translation, BSN, Bible Society of Nigeria, Jehovah's Witness has their own Bible translation. Other churches has their Bible translation. But to take it to work, it requires money and it requires support. So I will be full and require support. For gospel to go far, we need more people for Christ. That is what I am here to tell you. Finally, I want to apologize that I might have spoken in a way that many of you did not understand, but because I am sorry, it is the difficulty about my disability. But however, there's reason for it. There is a quote, they will show it, that he wants us to take. The limit of my language. Okay. The limit of my language and sense of reasoning means the limit of my words, Ludwig, with Justine. Thank you for listening.
Please, can we all wiggle so that he knows that we're clapping for him? I believe that this session has been a call to action for the church, and even as individuals. How are we supporting people with disabilities? How are we going out of our way to ensure that they feel they feel a part, they have a sense of belonging. Pardon me, I think it was an emotional session for me too. They have a sense of belonging in the community, and not just being sympathetic towards them, but having empathy and ensuring that they feel like their life is worth a living and they are also contributing. So this is a great call to action, and even as had been mentioned earlier, the Chapel of the Healing Cross, we are very we're inclusive, and we keep improving upon that, and we're also going to be working through the Codisa Foundation, working with other religious organizations to see how we can ensure that this inclusivity spreads across. Please, let's put our hands together again. And so we have the final session for today before we go into Q&A. I would like to welcome Mr. Okpeolu Akiola as he takes us through the topic challenges and opportunities
is the visually impaired
in funding
executive director of Access Tech Innovation and Research
assistive
Center.
devices through
He's
NGOs.
a certified professional in accessibility with core competences and an MA in disability studies from the University of Leeds. He teaches tech skills to blind persons, creating products for persons with disability.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, it's been I've actually learned a lot from being here, and I want to thank Codisa for organizing this, because these are the kind of conversations we want to have, the spaces, the awareness. My topic, of course, is challenges and opportunities to funding and distributing assistive technology through NGOs. That's non-governmental organizations. Let's put it in full. And, well, it's one of those kind of things that when they give you to talk about, you think in so many directions. I'm going to do justice to what I can, based on over 30 years of work in assistive technology provision, and recently being a CEO of an NGO. So I've entered the two sides of the coin, and I'll be doing justice to what I have to do. So now let me speak to my paper. Okay, is it? Okay, so the first, firstly, I know we've had it severally, assistive technology, but before I start, let me just explain something. Because I spent a whole year doing disability studies, I've come to start using certain phrases in certain ways. So, impairments, for example, when I say people call some things disabilities, that's what I call impairment. So when I say impairments, I'm talking about hearing impairment, visual impairment, and all that. When I say disability, I talk about what happens to you when you have an impairment. So it isn't the impairment, it is the way the impairment affects the way you interact with your fellow men, with your society, with school. That is what disability is. So that's the context in which I'll be speaking. And that's just it. Okay, so. Oh, no, okay. I'll try to be slower. Okay, so firstly, we will define assistive devices. It's the reason why I'm doing this is we've said assistive technology and then assistive devices. Are they different? Yes. Assistive devices are the things themselves, the apps, the phones, the prostheses, the walking aids, the hearing aids and all those things, hearing loops and all that. Those are devices. Now, assistive technology. Okay. So assistive technology comprises. Okay. Assistive technology comprises these tools as well as the support systems that enable them. So the knowledge of using assistive technology is part of assistive technology. Of using assistive devices is part of assistive technology. The system, that's the taxation, the laws and all that enable assistive devices to reach people that need them are also part of assistive technology. So technology isn't just tools. It is about the tools, the tasks, the people, everything that is involved in achieving those things is what technology is. And that's the sense in which we are also talking about assistive devices. So the devices are the things, so the slates and stylus for the blind people, the hearing aids for the deaf, the wheelchairs. Okay, so now that's the definition of assistive devices. And now let us look at NGOs. What is an NGO? It's a very, very broad terminology. I once asked somebody, I think whether MTN was an NGO. Do you think MTN is an NGO? But it's not owned by the government, is it? So why can't they be an NGO? Anyway, in the sense in which we are looking at it today, it's non-profits that are not owned by the government. So that's organizations that are funded and run by individuals without government involvement in their day-to-day running. That is what an NGO is in the context in which we are speaking. So now, because NGOs are not run by government, why do they exist? They exist because private citizens have found out that government is not addressing certain things that are affecting them or affecting other people in their community. And they want to find a solution to it. So they come together to set up an organization that will solve that problem. So NGOs are actually people who try to solve a problem without making profit. That is how they are different from businesses. A business solves problem, but they make profit from solving the problem. An NGO solves a problem, but they do not make profit from solving that problem. Instead, they actually spend their own resources in an attempt to solve the problem. So how does it come to assistive devices? NGOs want to ensure that people who need assistive devices can get them. Because another definition of people who need assistive devices, people with disabilities, we're always categorized as vulnerable people. Vulnerable because we do not have access to the same opportunities as every other person in the society, because we are likely to suffer from discrimination. We are likely to suffer from stigma. And sometimes we are actually likely to suffer from personal attack, violence, abuse, and all those other kinds of things. So, assistive technology helps us to overcome the limitations of our impairments. And then we have examples of assistive technologies. Reading glasses. There are some people who cannot, they can find their way around and walk around, but they cannot read without glasses. I'm not talking about these prescription glasses that most people are wearing that just automatically translates them to sighted people. But there are people who, even with glasses, are still visually impaired. They read large print, but they need glasses to read it well. So now reading glasses come in handy for those kind of people. Guide canes, mobility guide canes for the visually impaired. So the guide cane is something a blind person uses to trace their way, to find out what is on the way, and then know where they are, and ensure that they don't fall into ditches or bump into obstacles when they are going on their own. So it means that they can go out independently without waiting for the convenience of another person to take them around, even for simple things like maybe they want to go shopping. Now, hearing impaired people use hearing aids. People who have motor disabilities, or mobility disabilities, as we will call them, use wheelchairs. So these are examples of assistive devices. Now, NGOs get these devices to people who need them. They buy them with their own funds. They arrange for transportation to get them to the people, or sometimes they arrange programs. Some of the programs, they actually fund the attendees who are going to benefit from what they are giving, and they give them the devices. That is how NGOs come into distribution of assistive devices. In some cases, some NGOs have gone to the extent of becoming manufacturers of assistive devices so that they can get them at the least possible expense to make them affordable and give them to people who need them. And then sometimes NGOs also have to do capacity building. They have to learn how to use some of these devices so that they can pass them on to the people that need it and show them how to use it. I think one example was what Codisa did with Ugoji. I hope I got your name right. Okay, thank you. So that is the kind of thing that NGOs can do, and they do consistently. Now, there are challenges to this. One of the challenges is affordability. I think Barrister Safi mentioned it in his speech. Ugoji also hinted at it. So we can't really discuss assistive devices without price, because they come at a cost. Even simple items like a slate and stylus that a visually impaired person needs to write with. A notepad at the biro might cost maybe 1,500 naira. I'm being conservative. For a slate and stylus, a blind person is going to buy a slate and stylus for 14,000 naira. Look at the difference. So a child, and I'm saying this out of experience, I've met families where they can't even afford that. They beg for it. In a country like Nigeria, where some people are living below the poverty line, because there is a very, very close relationship between disability and poverty. A lot of people who are living with impairments, who are people with disabilities, are disabled because their parents cannot afford the health care that would have prevented that disability in the first place. So poverty and disability work very closely. So people with disability cannot afford these devices, and the NGOs come to try and afford it. But then the NGOs find that there are so many. What was the estimate that Barrister Safi gave? About 30 million people in Nigeria. And I'm sure that's very conservative. There's not been a proper analysis. If we look at every family in Nigeria, and I say it If you are from any family and there is nobody with a disability in your family, I challenge you to get up and tell me. I mean, your extended family, maybe not your nuclear family. And even the nuclear family, you are not sure. Because there are certain invisible disabilities. You just find that some people behave in a certain way. You say, the guy is a guy. It may be a disability. It may be something and you don't know. So, disabilities are as prevalent as that in every human community. It touches us, it's around us all the time. So, the estimate of 30 million is actually grossly conservative. It may be a lot more. And so an NGO decides that I want to help visually impaired people, blind people. And then you find out that there are about 15, maybe 10 million blind people in Nigeria. Where do you start from? You can only do the one that is near you. So funding affordability. You know you can find out more about people, but you don't have the funds to reach more people than a certain number. So that reduces the reach. Apart from that, there are certain assistive devices that are very expensive. Thank God for AI. To get an automatic captioning machine, which is what was prevalent before AI apps have come to help with real-time captioning, you'll be spending millions of naira. The average audiometer, the simplest audiometer, costs about 1.5 million to 2 million naira. There are the sophisticated ones that cost more than 10 million naira. A braille embosser costs about 10 million naira today. That is the equivalent of the printer that you go to the market with 70,000 naira and buy to produce your documents from a computer. A refreshable braille device, which enables a blind person to have access to digital technology in braille. The cheapest one I know of costs about 2.2 million naira. There are devices that cost about 14 million naira in that category. And then you have the OCR device, the one that can magnify printed material so that someone who has low vision can read them. The pocket size ones go for around 500,000, 600,000 naira. And the tabletop ones, I know some that are 8 million, 10 million, 14 million, 15 million. So these are the kind of things that, so an NGO can only raise so much funds. They may not be able to. They know that these needs, as they go around every day, they find more people that need some of these things, but they can't afford to get it. So affordability is one of the challenges. Then the second one, logistics. The NGOs can try. They go on the media, they talk. We are having a program in Idiaraba. I want people to attend. But there are people in Ogijo, in Ikorodu, who need these devices. The NGO has bought 100 pieces of devices, and only 20 people turn up. Why? Because of logistics. People know that they need it. The NGO has gone on radio, they've done awareness, everything, but people cannot come. And then, during COVID, what happened? A lot of NGOs decided to help by going around. For me, I spoke to a couple of people, and the cost, some NGOs were about to fold up because of the cost of doing the things they were trying to do during COVID. They found out that it wasn't very cheap to move around, to go to places, to get to people. And some places are actually inaccessible. This is not about wheelchairs or whatever. Even with jeeps, you can't get there. So logistics is a major problem as well. And NGOs don't, what is it, NEMA, National Emergency Management Agency, will not give you their helicopters to distribute assistive devices. So that leaves you to your own, your capacity. Then we talk of local know-how, local capacity. Now, we say when there is a will, there is a way. However, what you don't know is senior to you. If you don't know something, there's nothing you can do about it. So an NGO is interested. We love to help hearing impaired people. But how many members of the NGO know sign language? So when you get to the community, you cannot really communicate. your communication is going to be dependent on maybe gestures, and if you find at least one person, maybe siblings or relatives who are willing to interpret, they will interpret, but they will interpret according to their own interests. Because I've had deaf people complain about that before, that the interpreter was saying something different from what they finally found out that the person was communicating, because the interpreter was thinking of his own interest. Anyway, but it's not very common, so interpreters, please, kudos to what you do. You are doing a very good job, and the fact that there are one or two bad eggs does not mean that is an indictment on the profession. But capacity is very essential. An NGO wants to help blind people. You buy slates and stylus, but you do not know Braille. So a woman comes from a village where there's no blind school around and buys slate and stylus for her child and takes back. The child is exactly where he was before he got the slate and stylus, because there's nobody to teach them what to do with it. Then the device gets damaged. How do you fix it? Local capacity. These are things you may have imported. The cost of getting them back to the manufacturer for fixing is actually more than the cost of buying a new one. I've had those experiences before, because I've been in assistive technology for, like I said, more than 30 years. And I've seen people who bought devices, they saved up for years and years and bought devices. You buy the device, NEPA comes with power fluctuation, and your device breaks down. You cannot fight NEPA. And then you want to take it to the manufacturer, and then UPS tells you that it's going to cost you about 100,000 naira to get it back. That's one-way trip. To bring it back, you're going to pay another 100,000. And just when you're thinking that all is well, the custom people come with their import duties. So these are challenges. They stop assistive technology from being, assistive devices from being sustainable. And sustainability is a very key part of assistive devices. Then, my children use a phrase, they say frenemy. The government. The government is a friend, but when government decides to make policies sometimes, it's not, you start thinking that, are they really my friend? And these policies affect assistive technologies. There are sweeping policies that government makes, especially when it comes to importation, foreign exchange. There were some times they did some banking reforms. Nobody can send money out of Nigeria, this and that and that. How do you import a technology that is not available when you cannot get the money across to the manufacturer? For those years when Nigeria could not send out money, I think between 2020 and 2025, many of us who are persons with disabilities suffered. And NGOs who were helping could do nothing because they had to pay money out. And they cannot break government regulations. In any case, the bank will not assist you. So these are issues that come up. There's some of the issues we don't always see often, fitting. It is always easy to assume that assistive technology or assistive devices are for everybody. For example, commonly, a lot of people, when they want to do something to help the deaf, they go straight for hearing aids. I believe that majority of deaf people cannot use hearing aids. It's only people who are partially deaf that benefit from hearing aids. So when you start a blanket approach of giving hearing aids to every deaf person, you're actually not helping. But worse still, if you give the wrong hearing aid to somebody, even if they have partial hearing, that hearing aid can actually take away the remaining of hearing they have. If you do not know that there are things about fitting when you are doing assistive technology. So that capacity to fit assistive technology to the user, we call it matching, user technology matching. If you don't have it, it can be very outrightly dangerous, and that's a challenge that NGOs also have to brace up to. Then, look, capacity for repair. I think I've mentioned that before. When devices get damaged, to fix them. So we put those are the challenges as we have them now. And those challenges come mainly because NGOs operate from the charity model of disability. We want to help, we want to give. We want to give to them. Oh, give them, that is what they need. It's good, though, because it's kindness. But sometimes we should go a little beyond being kind. Let's go into being knowledgeable. It helps. And then there's this phrase, nothing about us without us. I think that it is very important. I was listening keenly, and I noticed that Codisa was talking all the time. We have blind people in the church. That is how it is. I'm sure when they started in 1984, 41 years ago, nobody was thinking in those kind of directions. And as things went on, they began to think. So that has taken me into my next set on my paper, the opportunities. Because one of the things that NGOs can do, they can evolve, they can change their methods, they can change their approaches in the process of moving forward to provide assistive devices. And so you notice that some NGOs begin to say we will need a person with disability on our board. And it's not just a person with disability, because I must be very, very circumspect at this moment. Some people are living with an impairment, but they know nothing about that impairment themselves. So if you put them on your board and say, you are going to be exactly where you were. So look for people who know, people who are knowledgeable about a device. It's just like someone living with an illness. The person, if I live with malaria, I don't know about malaria just because I have malaria. It's the doctor that knows. So a person with disability may have an impairment, but he doesn't know. He knows where the shoe pinches him. But he's not a shoemaker. He doesn't know how to fix the pinch. So it's very essential that we look for people who have capacity to work with NGOs. NGOs have to look for that. But they have the chance. They can evolve. Their funds are not governed by anybody. It's theirs to use and to decide how they want to use it. Their time, which is the most valuable resource on earth, time, is also theirs to decide how they want to use it. And the best way to use it, of course, is to use it with capacity. Because when you use your time effectively, then you achieve more with it. So that's one of the opportunities. The second opportunity, of course, is, it's still related to the first, capacity building. NGOs can also volunteer to avail themselves of knowledge. Thank God for the internet. If you go online, you can find out so much, so much. I studied disability studies at the master's level, but I can say I've learned so much more reading. When I started out with computers, teaching blind people how to use computers back in around the turn of the century, around 1999, 2000, it was very difficult to find people who would teach. There was nobody in Nigeria that would teach me. It wasn't a matter of even difficult. What was I doing? I was spending my money going to internet cafe and downloading materials and reading and all that and I thank God it paid off. But now knowledge is freer, it's more available, more accessible. So we should take advantage of it. If you don't know, Ugoji was talking about AI. Go and get Gemini, go to Gemini or ChatGPT, ask them questions. Put a prompt. How do blind people use Braille? What are the things that blind people use to learn Braille? And all that. It will give you all the information you need. So you have access to information. And what they say, information is power. The more information you have, the more knowledgeable you are, and the more effective you can plan. So that's another opportunity. Another opportunity is funding. Even though it's a limitation, it's also a plus. An NGO has the right to fundraise. So when you understand what your needs are, when you understand what your projects are, what your projections are, you have an idea what your budget is. I was doing background when I was researching for my paper. I researched Codisa. Sorry, Codisa, I'm talking a lot about you, but I had to research you. You can't be my host and I won't know you. Because if you go somebody I don't know the person, and the person will give you something to eat. If you don't know the person that will give you something to eat, it's dangerous. But that's not it. I mean, I like Codisa. They've always been around. And it's not the first time I'm hearing about them. So I had to say, what have they been doing all these years anyway? And I was finding out that Codisa is on a project to raise, I think, 500 million naira. And I was looking at what they wanted to do with it. And I saw that all those things were knowledge-driven. It means that they've done their research to look at what are the areas where this money can be most effectively utilized. And they've concentrated on those areas. So that's another opportunity that NGOs have. You can decide how much money you want, and then you can now start looking at how to raise the money and put that money together. That's a programmatic approach to addressing the problem of assistive technology funding and distribution. Then, of course, collaboration. NGOs have the opportunity to collaborate with the government, with fellow NGOs, with corporate organizations, with funders, with even manufacturers of assistive technology. Because when you go as an individual to any of these kind of people, they may not take you serious. But if you are an NGO, you are a registered corporate entity, and you approach somebody, it's easier for you to talk as an organization to an organization and get more results. So NGOs can actually have collaborations with funders, with technical partners, with organizations of persons with disabilities, schools, different entities, to ensure that what they are doing is more effectively done. And then NGOs can start manufacturing assistive devices. With 3D printers, that's a lot easier. There are quite a few organizations in Lagos who are already doing 3D printing of prostheses, and they are distributing them. Even for things that blind people use, slates and stylus, 3D printers can print them. You can print games, tactile games. You can print even the walking sticks. You can print part of it. If some part of the guide cane gets damaged, you can use a 3D printer to quickly produce that part instead of waiting to import it. So 3D printers have come. They've given us a leverage in terms of manufacturing of this technology. But again, we can even collaborate with local manufacturers. If we have enough funding, you find a company that produces plastics, and you have some plastic items that are assistive devices. You can discuss with that company. They will simply create a mold. Once you can meet up with the amount it costs for the scale that is, investment ready. If you meet that scale, they will provide the mold and start producing that thing locally. There are some things that can be produced locally, so that's an opportunity as well. And I think NGOs should look in those directions. Okay, so let us look at the success stories. How have NGOs done this? How many NGOs are doing this? We don't have a lot of time. There are so many NGOs in Nigeria, all over the country, who are doing things. I'll just mention 3 because of time. One of them is the Urede Foundation. Urede Foundation distributes prosthetic limbs to children. And I think they started out in 2015 or so, or 2016. This is how many years on? In 12 years, 12 years ago, that was 2013. In 12 years, they have succeeded in distributing to 500 children. It may look like a small number, but firstly, you have to even find the children. You have to fund the prosthesis, because prostheses are very discriminatory. It has to be exact for the person. You can't go to the market and just buy anything and give somebody. So that's a lot of work. But they've also evolved into different things. They are doing models like collaboration for internships. They've gone into other categories of disabilities trying to help. Because you find out again that people with disabilities, a lot of people have more than one impairment. We have issues of multiple disabilities. We have people who are deaf and blind at the same time. We have people who are blind and autistic. We have people who have motor challenges, and they also have ADHD. It doesn't spare you. So the fact that you have an impairment doesn't stop you from having another impairment. And when you have multiple impairments, you treat one, what happens to the second one? So Urede Foundation has moved into models that include other categories of impairments. And that is paid off. Then I'm coming back to Codisa again. Codisa started in 1984. That was 41 years ago. I think I was just finishing primary school that time. And 41 years on, look at what has happened. I want to ask, was this chapel accessible in 1984? Please, can someone from Codisa answer that question? Was it accessible in 1984? Was it wheelchair accessible and all that in 1984? Yes? let's be real. Okay, so it seems as if most people are not sure, because 41 years seems to be quite a long time ago. But I can say, if it was accidentally so. And the reason is, in those days, nobody was thinking about accessibility the way we think about it now. Things have changed, and that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity that an NGO has taken in. So apart from buying, distributing wheelchairs for people who have mobility impairment, apart from buying laptops and mobile phones for visually impaired people, guide canes and other things, all over the years, Codisa has thought of making their environment accessible. And that is a statement. Because if you go to government and say, look, part of the job of an NGO is advocacy. You now start advocating. These things you are doing is not right. Do it this way, do it that. They say, you yourself, have you done it? They say, you come to our chapel and see. When they come here and they see, it's fully wheelchair accessible. The lighting is bright. Everything is, what would the government say? Okay, teach us how to do it. Right? So automatically, you have a no, as Yoruba will say. It means you can talk and you can stand by your words. You don't have to eat your words. So that's another success story. And I mentioned the scheme to raise more money so that more devices and more programs can be planned and implemented to reach more people. So that's for Codisa. Then the last organization I will talk about is Access Tech Innovation and Research Center, of which I am the CEO. And what we do, we have a tech school for the blind. We teach blind people technology. I started teaching blind people how to use computers in the year 2000. This is 25 years on. Now we have so many other directions in which digital technology has taken the blind. AI is a very important part of it. We have optical character recognition by AI. That was what Ugoji was describing when she was talking about the Gemini Live, telling you what is around you or reading something to you. A lot of us have seen that video, How Come My Eye? That's also another technology. So we, apart from teaching people how to use those technologies, we also provide the technologies. So we import the technologies and try our best to make them as affordable to people who need them, and we teach them how to use them. And then we also offer repair services. I think Mr. Safi mentioned that, Barrister Safi mentioned that the Access Tech Innovation was doing repairs. So we do that as well to remove the cost of you having to take them abroad. Those are things, and when you look at it, look at the track. I mentioned the Radio Foundation, 500 people reached. Codisa, conservative estimate of about 100,000 people reached. For Access Tech Innovation, or for me as a person, because 25 years on, I worked across West Africa and Nigeria and all that. I don't know. I've stopped counting. But with Access Tech that started about 3 years ago, I think we've climbed about 1,200 people reached across Africa, because we use both internet-based teaching and on-site teaching at our premises. So there are prospects for us. The world is just opening up to persons with disabilities. We have seen the legal frameworks that make it possible. And the NGOs are actually the bridge between the government's inefficiency and the developmental progress of the people. And I think the NGOs have stepped in as people who want to distribute assistive devices, who want to ensure that persons with disabilities are empowered to overcome the limitations of their impairments. And so that is the story, and that is what it is. There is opportunity, and it's going to keep happening, and we are going to get better. We are the NGOs, and we are going to do it because that is what we exist for. Thank you.
Please, we can do better than that. We just had Mr. Akinola Opelu taking us through challenges and opportunities in funding and distributing assistive devices through NGOs. I like the fact that he just touched briefly on challenges and focused more on the opportunities. And that's what we would like everyone to focus on. Keep hope alive. We're going to focus on the opportunities. And he said something about that we need to go beyond kindness to being knowledgeable. Knowledge is power. There's a lot that we can learn. You know, he has also challenged us as an NGO, Codisa, and I know that he has challenged so many individuals here. You know, we need to use our time effectively, you know, build capacity, and we need to keep evolving. You know, change is constant, is important. Even as volunteers, we need to be knowledgeable. We need to know about all the disabilities. You know, we have over 40 homes that we work with. It's important that we know about the disabilities that these homes cater for. You know, it's not just okay to say, oh, we work with this, but let's even know what all these challenges are about. And then it was worrisome to just know that in the act of trying to be kind, you sort of like do more damage. When he mentioned that if you give hearing device to someone who doesn't need it, you can actually make the person totally deaf. That's very worrisome. So we really need to, that matching phase is very important. I can go on, but I would like to encourage us to go back and watch the videos so that we can go over all that we've learned, because our speakers here today, they've, you know, done so much. They've put out so much information for us to, it's not something we can digest here at this event. We need to keep going over it through the weeks and then ensure that we leave out all that we've learned today, so that all the time that we waste, we've been here since morning, so it's not just time wasted. We need to go and, you know, take action. It's time to take action and then also build capacity and help in bridging the gap. It's a collaborative effort. Collaboration is very important. Everybody, whether or not you have a disability, we all have a role to play in ensuring that we build an inclusive society. So I know we have lots of questions, but because time is fast spent, we'll be taking just 5 questions. So if you have a question to ask, please just put up your hand and go straight to the point. Okay, I can see my CRM's hand up, the variable. So that's, I'll give him the number 1 position. I have someone here, that's 2. Okay, and then 3. 4, are you looking at, please, our volunteers, I need us to go around with the mics. The microphones. Please, let's go straight to the point. And if you want somebody in particular to answer your question, you can mention the person's name so that he or she knows that the question is directed at the individual. Okay, yes, and there's the mommy behind the CRM. So our CRM goes first, then I have someone in front here. Number 2, number 3, number 4, the lady with the turban, and number 5 is the lady at the back. And then maybe we'll take 1 question online, okay, so that everybody, we have a balance. All right, Sarah, sir.
Thank you very much for the very instructive and educative lectures that we've had. The question I want to ask is about assistive device. Do we have any that can change text to Braille? That is, you have the text and you now want to convert it. Because I saw some of you doing something on your laptop. The first speaker, no, the second speaker, if I... yeah, the first, you know, was doing something. So I want to know whether there is any device like that. Thank you.
Okay, so the question is, yes, there is what we call the refreshable Braille note takers, which are, now these ones are for digital files. So if you have a Microsoft Word file or a PDF file, you just load it onto that device and the blind person is reading it in Braille. That's one aspect. The second one, of course, is if it's hard copy. Now, if it is hard copy, it may go through maybe 2 processes. You first have to do what you call OCR, that's optical character recognition. So sometimes you have to have a scanner connected to a computer or you use the camera of your mobile phone to snap that image. That is what Ugoji was describing when she mentioned Gemini Live, reading your newspapers to you. So it captures the image from the thing and converts it to digital material. And once it is digital, then you put it on your Braille device, and then you can read it in Braille. So that's it. But there are some very expensive note takers who have cameras built into them. So they take the image straight on and convert it to Braille real time for the blind person. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, my name is Kajet Anduru from Anglo-Nigerian Federation for the Blind. My question will go to Ms. Madam Ugochi. I was at the seminar with the Google team we had at Yaba.
Yes.
And I remember that your team promised that for follow-up, you would set up a WhatsApp group so that people can actually develop what they learned at that program. And yet we are yet to get any feedback on that. And you know that this area of technology keeps developing. And people have to get up to date of recent researches and developments in the field. Thank you.
Thank you for that, but it's Titi that will, because she's...
All right, so I would answer. I would like to apologize first that you haven't been added to the group, and I can assure you that before the 1st of October, you'll be added to the group, and then you can ask whatever it is that you want to ask on that platform. Is that okay, sir? All right, we apologize. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emmanuel. I want to talk about the function of AI. Is it possible for someone that does not understand the regular sign language that only live with the local sign in the environment? Can AI help in that situation? Someone that cannot read appropriate English language. You know, we translate English, as Mr. Remy said, let me call him, that English is different from sign language.
Yes.
That someone that does not even understand English language, how can AI assist in the local sign language? Okay. That is a part of what he has been saying. AI is using English and deaf uses sign language. AI understands sign language, but deaf people understand sign language. So it will always require middleman. What is saying in sign language, it was being assisted to transfer to you with help of somebody.
Yes.
Can AI assist? How can it benefit the deaf? It might not be 100% educative in English language, but it can give them the direction of how to get information. And with the middleman, they can forge ahead. Like, for example, that it's not possible for someone to type Yoruba in AI and translate it to English. It's not possible. So, but with the help of, is it possible? Okay, you want?
It's possible.
It's possible to Yoruba here. But what of sign language?
Yes. So let me just explain the evolution of AI. So while AI is new, it's kind of new in addressing some of these issues, there's a rapid development that is happening. What many people are trying to do in Africa and in Nigeria is make sure that we are building as the rest of the world is building. And the reason is because of context. So like you've spoken about, people want technology that speaks to their particular situation. And in this situation, it's that you might not understand English as well as other people across the world. And how will the technology speak to your particular situation where you don't really understand sign language as it is today, and you don't understand as much English? What AI is doing today, which will progress and become better, is that it's giving you various ways that you can then access the information. So it's either with captions that we've shown before, if you can read, and those captions are also available in other languages. So if English is not a language that you understand, AI is able to translate into other languages. If you understand sign language, AI technology is advancing fast in the way that you are having sign language avatars. And I was just mentioning here that what sign language avatars are doing is, instead of having that interpreter that you require, if you were in, for instance, you were in church and there isn't an interpreter, and you don't want to record and take back to an interpreter, if you have a sign language avatar that is an app on your screen, you can use that sign language avatar to understand as you're sitting there. So it's basically putting that knowledge in your pocket, right? So there are various ways through which AI is helping to democratize information that was not democratized before, right? And the technology is advancing. It's not the best today, but the solutions are coming. And there are more ways that you are able to, access information now.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Please, I have a question to ask. Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, I have a question to ask about AI. Though I use AI for different things, like these days I use AI for my media posts, and I used to go and search something on AI, though I was taught by my little cousin because I use Google. And also too, I want to ask, how can I use AI to write my song, because I'm a songwriter and also a script writer? I understand that I can also use AI in asking of the clothes I want to wear to a special occasion, because I'm also a fashionista too. But how can I use that same AI for my song and script writing? Thank you, ma'am.
So AI is prompt-generated technology. There is what we call prompt engineering now, which basically means people that are studying and engineering the area of prompting. What prompt is what you tell the AI to do. So AI is basically garbage in, garbage out. If you don't tell it the right things, it's not going to give you the right information. So you can use it to write songs. I was recently reading, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that the first AI musician has been given a contract of $100 million. So it's basically not a human being, but an AI musician that has a contract with a proper recording label, right? And it's AI-generated music. It's AI-generated. So you can use AI depending on the prompt, depending on the song that you want to write. You will tell it what sort of song it is. There are lots of prompts. You need to understand prompt engineering to say, I want to write, for instance, an R&B song that talks about this. Let it simulate the 90s music. I want it to include 1, 2, 3. If you do that, you will get a song. It might not be the best song because you might need to refine your prompt, but you will get a song. If you ask it to do your other writing, and you give it the right prompts, it will give you writing. But what I will say with AI is that you also have to be careful that it's the quality that you want. Because I see a lot of things that people generate from AI and it's really bad quality, but it's also because your prompting is bad. So you have to understand how to prompt properly. You have to understand the level and quality that you expect. But you should realize that the best quality is AI plus your intellect and your knowledge. That's the best quality output you will ever get. You have to put in the knowledge that you already have about the subject and your own spin on it to get the best quality that people respect. So you have to keep that at the back of your mind.
Good afternoon, everyone. My first question is not really a question per se. I would say it's an information. Most of the schools for visually impaired children, they don't have facilities for wheelchairs, like having a ramp for the children to be accessible to the school. Like me, I have a child that recently became disabled and at the same time visually impaired. So I've been to a lot of schools. For 2 years, I've been searching for school that will accept the child. Until recently that Bethesda building was changed. That was when they told me to bring the child. And still, I will have to carry him all the way up to the classroom. So I'm bringing this information to Codisa Foundation. Thank you. And my second question is for Google. Like this child, before he became visually impaired, he likes to play a lot of games. Is there any game that a visually impaired person can play on the phone? Thank you.
Okay. So the first question, it wasn't really, it's just a comment. But I think I just want to add to the comment. I think everyone here, if you are associated or affiliated with anyone that has a disability, you felt a little bit of what you said in the first sort of comment. All I can say is that I think it is getting better. Years ago, it was also really difficult to assist anybody that had any type of disability. And that's why it's really important that all of us here are in this room talking about the difficulties, talking about the things that we can do to help. But it's also important that you know that some people here are also speaking with government. It's not just myself or Google, other people, to make sure that when schools are set up, that some of these things that come automatically with the schools when they set up. So the National EdTech strategy that we are co-creating is to make sure that when it launches, inclusiveness is embedded into EdTech. So education and all of the technology that comes with education, not just physical or cognitive disabilities, everything. And it's also embedded in the policies. So when schools are set up and educational institutions are set up, they come automatically with those things. And we have to continue to advocate to make sure that those policies are implemented. With the second thing, there are solutions, but I think most of the speakers have spoken about that here. We have to be very knowledgeable about the things that are available, and you just have to research. I am positive, in fact, I know that there are games for visually impaired children. I will help you do some research and suggest some to you, but there are things that are available everywhere around the world. You just need to do a little bit of search and then find the ones that your child would be comfortable with and download those.
Yes, so I think, yes. So Mr. Okwelu has some games to share with you.
Okay, so I don't know what kind, when you say games, it's a very broad term. But there are so many. There are games like shooting, arcades, and all that. There are the ones that are accessible because they have audio prompts and they have some level of audio narration. So you can do a Google, if you use a phone, you can do a search for those things. There are so many in the Play Store. Then things like, there's a company called Spoonbill Software. You can Google them. Spoon is S-P-O-O-N, then B-I-L-L. If you go to their site, they have a lot of games. The guy who does it is not a person with disability, but he likes creating games for people with disabilities. He's a software developer, and he has so many. So if he's someone that likes playing things like Scrabble, chess, all those kind of games, he creates the accessible versions. But apart from that, you can also do a Google search like arcade games and I've forgotten the name of this. There's a particular very popular, the games you have on PS2 and Xbox and all that. If you look for the accessible versions of them, there are a lot of them that are also downloadable. So it's just there for you. It's just for you to now consciously go after them. So you'll find a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. So please let's put our hands together once again for our speakers. And then let's also appreciate, we need to appreciate yourselves because you've been wonderful audience today. So at this point in time, we're going to appreciate our speakers. We have a token for each of them, and we'll be calling them one after the other. And to start off with this presentation of plaques, thank God for technology. If not for technology, we won't be giving plaques to visually impaired people because they won't be able to read what is there. And, we actually discussed it during one of our meetings when I said, how would they read what is there? I said the plaques is not just for them. It's for people when they come into their offices or their homes and they say, oh, you went for this, you're affiliated with this. And then they can use technology to read what is there. So we don't even have to read it out today. Our BOT member, Mr. Kolade Abimbola, will do the first presentation to our representative from Lasoda, Barrister Babatunde Kazim Safiu.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, Barrister Babatunde Kazim Safiu. I think I would like to borrow the knowledge I got from Ugochi. My name is Kolade Abimbola. I am 6'3" tall. I'm wearing a red shirt with black trousers and white canvas shoe. So,
I know that you are taller than me.
Okay, on behalf of Codisa Foundation, Christ Outreach on Disabilities Foundation, we would like to present you with this plaque. It is written, Codisa Foundation, presented to Barrister Babatunde Kazim Safiu, Head Legal Services, Lasoda, in appreciation of your role as speaker and on your contribution to the success of the Codisa Workshop 2025. Theme, Unlocking New Possibilities for Persons with Disabilities through Assistive Technology, held on Saturday, 27th September 2025. May the Lord reward your labor of love abundantly. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Codisa, for creating an inclusive society for persons with disability. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so the next presentation is to the only female on the panel. And we just decided to get another female to do the presentation to the female. So I'll be inviting the beautiful wife of our CRM, Mrs. Adenike Onofeso, to do the presentation to Ms. Ugochi Agoreo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure it's been a blessed time for everyone. On behalf of Codisa, I have the pleasure of presenting to Mrs. Ugochi Agoreyo this plaque in appreciation of your role as speaker and your contribution to the success of the Codisa Workshop 2025. And I must say that I already downloaded that app that you talked about. I was very fast at doing that because I think it will be very helpful. You've acquainted us with quite a number of apps that, even beyond people with disabilities will be helpful for. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I just wanted to mention that I know Mrs. Onofeson from Corona because she was head of schools at Corona Ikoyi where my children went, and I worked very closely with her and some of the other leadership there because my son did have some challenges with learning at the time, and Mrs. Onofeson was an amazing leader at Corona Ikoyi.
You see, we couldn't have gotten a better person to do this presentation to Ugochi. All right, so I'm going to invite our immediate past leader of Codisa, in the person of Mr. Ladi Shole, to do the next presentation to Evangelist Sule Akinremi. So let's wiggle our hands in the air as it comes forward. Yes.
Wow. It's been a wonderful and fulfilling day. On behalf of Codisa Foundation, I present to you this plaque in appreciation of your role as one of our key speakers at today's event. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you.
First time lucky. My first time to be here. I never knew of this until this year. Now they have opened my eyes to the potential of the organization that supports our creativity. And I'm happy to be part of this, and it will continue. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shole. I'm going to invite one of the youngest ladies in Codisa, in the person of Mrs. Adesinyo Shion, to do the next presentation. I just thought to balance the equation. 2 ladies, 2 men. Right, so please let's put our hands together as she comes to do the very last presentation. All right, as I invite our beloved Mr. Akinola Okbeolu to take the plaque.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad to be here today. And on behalf of Codisa Foundation, I want to present this plaque to Mr. Okbeolu Stephen Akinola. You've been a very good speech. You made a very good speech today, and you've been a very good presenter. Congratulations, and thank you very much for coming. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Codisa. I was just, she said, let me get to, I wanted to do a bit of breaking of protocol, actually. I wanted to invite Emanuela Akinola, who is my wife, and also a co-founder of Access Tech Innovations and Research Center, to come up. I wanted her to be part of that presentation, but that has gone, but, oh, good, okay. Oh, she's here. Oh, thank you. And so, okay, come closer, Ella. They said you should come closer, so people will not be doubting who you are. Okay. So, sorry, I just want to make an announcement again. One of the things we are doing at Access Tech, we have something called Give Tech to the Blind. It's an online platform. So if you are a visually impaired person, and we're expanding it to other impairments as well very soon, you go on that platform, www.givetechtotheblind.com. You register yourself, you look at the devices available, and pick the one you need. And then if you are someone who is interested in giving something to a blind person, you know you want to help in your own capacity, you can go on the website and register as a donor. And then you can pick one of the items there. And as soon as it's paid for, we inform the blind person and get in touch with them. And then if you want to know the person, you're free to do. And if you want it to be anonymous, fine. But the idea is there is now a connecting bridge between the people who want to give the technology and the people who need it. So that's it. Thank you very much. Oh, and thank you, Codisa, for this. Like I said, since I was shorter than this table, I've been hearing of Codisa. Now I'm taller than the table, and they're still going on. I'm sure when I get even taller, they will still be there. God be with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you for introducing your lovely wife to everybody here. So everybody will know that the lady in pink is taken. All right, so at this point, I'll just invite the deputy leader of Codisa Foundation to give us the vote of thanks in person of Mrs. Chika Nelson Cole.
Thank you, Titi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure we've really had an interesting time this afternoon. It's been a lorry load of knowledge. I'm leaving here, more inspired and then more encouraged to actually do more to be sure that we have an inclusive society. I'll start my vote of thanks by, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, Executive Committee, and volunteers of the Codisa Foundation. I'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who is present here today, to everyone who has been part of this interesting session, who has also helped us understand why we need to unlock new possibilities for persons with disabilities. I know quite a number of organizations are present here. I may not be able to mention all, but I understand that we have representatives from ANWAB, NAVIS, Bethesda. Bethesda, you've been a bit quiet today. Bethesda, you've been a bit quiet today. Thank you, Bethesda. Shesha Home, Navis, Pacheli School for the Blind, Oshodi, and a whole lot of other organizations. Lasoda clusters. Thank you. I'm hoping that this is going to be the beginning of bigger collaborations with Codisa. I'd like to particularly thank my CRM. I don't know if he's still here. Thank you to the CRM. Thank you for always obliging and indulging us. Thank you for granting us, the use of the chapel for this event. The speakers, honestly, I'm short of words. I know our timing notifications were rather short from when we started engaging up until this morning. It's been, a whole lot of support, things that initially we didn't even know, would come up, and then you had even given us some insight as how to go about this workshop. I'd like to say thank you, and like I'd always say, this shouldn't be the end of this collaboration. We're looking forward to many more things. I teased Evangelist Aderemi the other day. I said very soon we'll start worshiping in his church as well. So we look forward to coming there as well. Members of the organizing committee, it's been a whole lot of work. A lot has gone into all this. I'd like to say thank you for your time, thank you for all that you do. And Codisa volunteers as well, I'd like to say thank you. It is my prayer that the Lord will reward us all abundantly. He will reward our labor of love abundantly. And thank you to every other person. If I've missed out your name, it's not intentional. If I've missed out your organization, I'd like to say thank you for making this a truly impactful and insightful session. Together, like I would always say, we can build a better and a more inclusive environment and world for persons with ability. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.
All right, thank you very much. That's the deputy leader of Codisa Foundation. Okay, so prior to this workshop, we didn't know that Chapel of the Healing Cross had to have a pastor or a priest that is hearing impaired. If not, we would have had a hearing impaired priest take the closing prayer. So, but we had already gone ahead to nominate one of our priests to take the closing prayer. So you just pardon us. Everything that has a beginning must have an end, and we've come to the end of this program. And since we started with an opening prayer, we are going to take the closing prayer by one of our priests who is not hearing impaired, but Evangelist Aderemi. I can assure you that, okay, I cannot assure you, but we will work towards we will work towards ensuring that we have a priest that is hearing impaired, in the nearest future, not now. But at this point, I'm going to invite the very Reverend Shegun Ayedero to take the closing prayer.
Praise the Lord. Let me, on behalf of the CRM of this great chapel, welcome every one of us here today. Indeed, this is the chapel of the Healing Cross, where prayers are answered speedily, very, very speedily. And in case this is your first time here, it's an ecumenical center. Once you are a Christian, you believe in Christ, crucified, resurrected, and is coming back, you are welcome to worship Him with us. In case you are looking for a place of worship, you are powerfully welcome. We don't want to know where you are from, the color of your skin, the language that you speak, your disability or your impairment. All what we want is, if you are a child of God, this is the place for you to worship. Having said that, I would like, with humility, to hand over the microphone to the evangelist to please come and say the closing prayer. God bless you.
Heavenly Father, we come to your presence this afternoon. Thank you for what you have been doing in our lives in the past. Thank you for what you are doing now and what you will be doing in future for us tomorrow. Every good gift that you have given to us, perfect gift that is coming from you, don't let it exclude us. For the success, we thank you for the success of this program and this beautiful day. Father, thank you for what today have done for us, the impact that it has made in our life, the understanding and the open mind of new things. Thank you for what you have taught us and the knowledge that they have given to us, that we can go home with joy and the impactfulness. Thank you for everyone here that come from home, that leave their family here. Give them safe journey back to their home. We should not hear any bad news about anyone among of us here in Jesus' name. We commit our way back home to your hand. Please take absolute control in Jesus' name. And let there be peace in our hearts, and we shall have a testimony always in Jesus' name. Thank for everyone that organized this program. Father, bless them, increase them, and the next one will be better than this one. When all will be here next time, it will be better for us in Jesus' name. We thank you for all you have done. Continue to be faithful and be perfect to us in our life. This we shall meet again in love and stay with us with peace. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Thank you all for coming. See you next year. All right, so please, speakers, we would like to take a
as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show somebody that is traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a good man ought, if I can bring back beauty to a world that's so wrought, if I can spread love's message as the